Today, we'll have Monique's cruise on the brand new Disney adventure ship. That's coming up on this episode 510 of WW Prep to Go. Hello and welcome to WW Prep to Go, where we talk strategy and ideas for people putting their Disney World trips. And we have lots and lots of trip reports, including today's, which is on the brand new Disney adventure ship with Monique. I'll have that in just a minute. As always, a reminder to follow on social media and also to look forward to my next episode, which is going to be about my cruise that I'm on right now. As this episode goes up, I am on a cruise out of San Diego with a group of patrons. We do trips together, cruises especially, because it's just so much easier with a group to do a cruise. Some of them first-time cruisers, so I'm excited to see how it goes with people that have never done it before. Hopefully we're having a good time. I'll let you know next week. I do want to remind you that to be a guest like Monique, the only way to do that is to leave a voicemail at the Speak Pipe line, which is linked in the show notes of every single episode. Leave the details of your trip. And then if it works out with our schedule, then a member of my team will reach out to you to get you scheduled for both your pre-trip and your post-trip. I think that is going to be it. This is my chat with Monique, who is from Australia and decided that she wanted to go on the new Disney adventure when it started sailing out of Singapore because it is relatively close to her in Australia, much closer than the States, which, as you will hear, she has done that a lot as well. I was excited to talk to her and hear how it went. She had never been on a Disney cruise before, so that I think factors in because people that have been on Disney cruises, including me, tend to like to compare, but she was starting fresh and it's just her own experiences. So here are my chats with Monique. Welcome to the podcast, Monique.
Thanks so much, Shannon.
We're talking on Friday, April 3rd. But at very different times of day based on where we are. Where are you coming to us from, Monique?
I'm coming from Western Australia, Perth in Western Australia. So quite a long way away from the US.
Okay. That's right. That's why it's early for me, late for you.
Yeah.
All right. And where are you going?
We are flying to Singapore and we're going to have a few days in Singapore, and then we're going to board the Disney Adventure, the new cruise line that's been going for about a month there.
Mm-hmm. Brand new. I'm excited to talk to you about it because I know virtually nothing about this. So I'm excited.
Well, I've done as much research as I can.
Which is not much right now, but you just a little bit from the previews and stuff and the early cruisers, I assume. But you're one of the early cruisers because it's so new.
Yeah, well, it was meant to start before Christmas, and then, of course, it got delayed till March the 10th. So when I initially submitted this, I thought, oh, gosh, I really hope it doesn't get delayed again and we miss our trip, but all seems to have gone pretty well.
What are the dates of your trip?
Okay, so we leave on Monday, April the 6th.
And until when?
Until Monday, April 13th. So we'll be away a week in total, but the cruise itself is the second part from the 9th to the 13th. So we'll have a few days in Singapore and then board on Thursday, the 9th of April.
Okay. And have you ever been to Singapore?
Yeah. So because in Western Australia here from Perth, it's a 5-hour flight. So it's probably one of the closest and easiest places to get to. The last time we went there was just after COVID. In Western Australia, the borders for the state shut for 2 years. So we couldn't leave the state in that time for 2 years. However, the benefit of that was that we had obviously quite a normal-ish life during that time. However, it was as soon as the borders opened, we have a lot of places that we stacked up to be able to go to. So we went to Singapore then, and it's me, my husband, and we've got 3 sons. Teddy is 12 and Milo is 10 and Lucky is our baby. He's 8.
Okay. And have you guys been on a Disney cruise before?
No. Nope, we haven't. So that's really exciting. And I hope it will be as good as we're imagining, because I have heard a few people, the early people, say it's a different cruise to the usual Disney, the ships, because it was a ship that was kind of brought in half built and then refitted to
Mhm.
be a Disney
It's
ship. So in that way, it feels different.
very different than the layout of the other ones because the other ones are all like copies of other, ships. So
Yeah.
this is really on its own because Disney, as you said, didn't start the build.
No, but I hope it doesn't lose too much from that. But yeah, we'll find out.
Yeah. I mean, it looks beautiful. So I'm going to
Yeah.
assume that it's still great.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk through it because you said you leave on Monday, April 6th, and you're going to Singapore.
Yes. So I'm flying out with the three boys, and my husband's got to stay to work for another couple of days. So he's not going to join us until Wednesday. So on Monday, so it's Easter Monday, we'll fly out from here at 12 midday. And we're flying on Qantas. We should arrive in Singapore at about 5:50 p.m.
Hmm.
there. We're just going to get a transfer from the airport to our hotel that we're going to stay at for the first 2 nights, which is the Mandai Rainforest Resort by Banyan Tree. And that's a new resort that they've got in it's the zoo kind of complex. So where the Singapore Zoo is, there's also, almost like Walt Disney World in Florida, where there's 4 different animal themed areas. So there's the Singapore Zoo, there's one called River Wonders, which is kind of more different sort of world river themed. There's what used to be the Jurong Bird Park, which is now called Bird Paradise there. And there's a night safari as well. So there's 4 different zoos in this complex. And then they've built a new resort there, the Banyan Tree, the Mandai Rainforest Resort. So we're going to go there. My boys really love zoos and animals, as do I. So we're going to go and stay there for 2 nights.
Okay. That sounds fun. I'm going to have to look
Yeah.
up this place with all these different zoo elements to it.
It's kind of cool. It's one of those kind of, I think there's a few of them now where you can actually have your accommodation within the zoo. And it's good. The zoo area in Singapore, this Mandai Rainforest Resort, is actually quite a distance from the main part of the city. So going back and forth is a little trickier. It's a bit more of especially if there's traffic, a bit more of a trip there in Singapore. So it'll be nice to stay there and we can just walk into each park while we're there. But the first
Mhm.
night, I guess by the time we arrive, I'm assuming it'll be sort of 7:30. So I think we'll just maybe even room service. I'm not sure we'll have a lot of time to even go out for dinner. We might be tired. So kind of no real plans for that first night other than arriving. And we have a rainforest retreat room, which has a double bunk bed, which is kind of fun for the kids. So yeah,
Okay,
that'll be fun.
rainforest retreat room. Okay, so when I go and look up this resort, I'm going to look up
Yeah.
what that room looks like.
It's
Okay.
really cool. It's got kind of cool rainforest wallpaper, and because the resort's new, it should be really fun. And the boys have got a ladder to climb to get up to the bunk up there. So I think that'll be really fun.
Okay, that does sound fun. All right, so Tuesday, April 7th, time in Singapore.
Yeah. So I think that morning breakfast is included in our rate. So we'll have breakfast at the hotel there. And then our plan for the first day is River Wonders. And so we love pandas, and it's really hard to find pandas around the world. We have seen them once in Hong Kong at Ocean Park there in Hong Kong, and they're so funny. So we are hoping to go see the pandas at River Wonders, but they have a thing called the Amazonian River Quest, which is like a boat ride that goes around. And so you see the animals from the water, you see them up on the banks and things, which just sounds fun. Sounds like a different way to see everything.
So is this all included at the resort where you're staying?
No, you buy your tickets for the actual park separately, but they're about sort of 35 Singapore dollars. No, they're not expensive compared to obviously theme park tickets and things. So I haven't actually pre-purchased those. I thought I'll just wait. And that way it gives us a little bit of flexibility if for some reason something's closed or we need to pivot a little bit. But yeah, hopefully the River Wonders to go see some of those. I think there's sloths. It's all themed around different world rivers. So there's like Amazonian area, there's the Ganges, the Nile, and that's how they've set up the zoo with the different areas. And there's things like piranhas and cool fish as well, which again from Australia, like we have some cool animals, but we don't have piranhas. or anything.
You have everything
Um,
else.
we have some scary things, but
You
yeah,
yes.
everything else scary. Um,
Mhm.
so just things like that are just, yeah, a little bit exciting for us to go see at these kind of zoos around the world.
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
that sounds fun.
that's
So you're
fun. And so
doing
I think,
some stuff at the resort for this day?
yeah, so we'll do that and then we'll come back to the resort, hopefully probably early afternoon whenever we're getting a bit tired. There's a really cool rooftop pool at this resort, which would be awesome, I think, for the boys. So we'll plan to kind of go up there in the afternoon, and then in the evening from 6:30 is the night safari. And again, when we've been there last time, it was too far to kind of go back in the evening to sort of spend an hour in a taxi going back there. So I have never done that before, but I've heard it's really fun. So there's a kind of coach, and you're on there with torches, and they go and you spot all the nocturnal animals, and even things like lions and stuff that actually prefer, especially in Singapore, I could imagine, prefer the night and it being a little bit cooler. So we'll go to do that. I mean, I'm hoping. I know they could be completely shattered depending on how long we've spent in the morning, but I really hope that we can get back in there and do the night safari.
Mhm. Okay. That seems
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
Uh, the next day is Wednesday, April 8th, and you told us this is when your husband's arriving.
Yes. He won't arrive. He's on the same flight, but on the Wednesday that we caught. So he won't arrive until the evening. But in the morning, again, we'll have breakfast and then we'll need to check out of our room. And then there's two, I guess, that we've already done two of the four parks of the sort of zoos already by them. But there's the main Singapore Zoo, and that is the one we did do last time. So we may not do that this time. The other one is Bird Paradise. And Milo, who's my 10-year-old, he really loves birds and bird watching and things. And they have penguins in a special kind of icy enclosure area there. Because again, Singapore is really kind of warm, very humid. They used to have a polar bear there, but that was once that polar bear passed away, they said they would never obviously try and replace that because it's not really the right climate. But the penguins are all indoors. So that will be fun to see them. And there's flamingos, hornbills, again, like really cool birds. And it's all very beautifully done. It's all quite new, this process. So it feels like the animals are well looked after, etc.
Mhm.
So yeah, so I think we'll do Bird Paradise. And then when we're done there, to come back to the hotel, grab our luggage and probably just, they have Uber in Singapore, but I think it's called Grab. It's a different kind of company as the main one. So we'll get one of those into the city. And then that night, we are staying near Orchard Road in the centre of Singapore to be closer to the cruise in the morning. And we're staying at the Shangri-La Singapore. And here, I've always wanted to stay. They have these themed rooms, but it's okay for one night. But if you were staying for a week or so, it gets a bit expensive. And I think the novelty would probably wear off a fair bit. But because we're there for one night and because my boys are probably growing out of the themed family suite
Mhm.
age, I've booked the treetop suite there. So that's really fun. It's like two rooms, but then instead of just like a normal connecting door, there's a tunnel that you go through. And their room, the bed, there's a couple of beds, but one's themed like a tree house. And yeah, I still think even the 12-year-old will find that like really fun and hopefully memorable, even though he's probably almost too cool for this kind of stuff now.
Y Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's still an 8 and a 10-year-old, so even if he doesn't, hopefully they'll
Oh,
enjoy
yeah.
it. But you'll be there and your husband will go there from the airport?
Yes, he'll come straight there from the airport. And because we're in Australia, we do newly have a couple of Starbucks here, but Starbucks is quite exotic for us. Piranhas and Starbucks. We're excited. So my eldest son really wants to go to Starbucks, and they have a lot of Starbucks in Singapore. So we'll probably walk down to Orchard Road and find him a Frappuccino.
Mhm.
uh, and just, I don't know, look around the shops for a little bit before we come back. And again, that hotel's got water slides and fun kind of kids' play areas as well. So I'm sure we will have no trouble filling up that time until my husband arrives and then have dinner and yeah, get ready for the next day.
Okay. And the next day is board the adventure day.
The next day is board the adventure day. Now, as a planner, I made a really, really big error, which luckily wasn't a fatal error, but I booked this cruise, I don't know when at first, like a long time ago, and we've been pretty excited about it. I've been hyping the boys up about it. And I got an email that went to my junk from Disney Cruise Line letting me know I'd paid the deposit when I booked it. And normally I would then put in my diary the date that the balance is due. I don't really know what went wrong, but it wasn't in my diary. But I got an email, but it went to my junk mail. And then I found it saying, oh, your deposit's due on Friday. This is the 9th of January. And I was like, okay, yeah, I don't know. I was busy. It was summer holidays here. I just wasn't in my usual being at the computer and things. I don't really know how it happened. But Friday came and went, and there was no, obviously, auto debit. I had to log on to pay it. And then on the Monday morning, I again just checked my junk mail again, and I just saw this email with the subject, your cruise has been cancelled.
Oh.
And I know. And my heart just sank. It was just that complete frozen, like, oh my God. That's the first time it had occurred to me since that initial email that, oh yeah, I had to pay that deposit on that date. And I just totally panicked, but I grabbed my phone and just really quickly lying in there in bed just was like, oh no. My husband was like, what's the matter? I was like, oh my God. I forgot to pay the deposit. It's cancelled. And he's like, oh, sure, you just let them know. I was like, no, I think it's cancelled. So I straight away went online, and I knew the cruise was sold out, or definitely our room type was sold out. But I went on there and put all my search terms in, etc. And there's one room of our type was there. And it turns out it is exactly the room that I had, which had gone back on sale because I hadn't paid my balance. So I lost an $800 deposit, which I just had to let that go and just be grateful that we now had the cruise. And I emailed Disney Cruise Line and said, this is what happened. It was totally my fault. Is there any chance that that deposit could come back? And they were really, really polite, and also pointing me in the direction of the contract and saying no. So really, really big fail that I've managed to come back from. But yeah, as someone who prides himself on planning and stuff, really not a good start. But that was actually on my first mistake. My second mistake was a couple months ago, deciding I'd be really organized and get our pirate outfits for pirate night. So I did that. I spent $200 on pirate, $200 Australian. So maybe what's that, 150 US on kind of hooks for the hands, hats, T-shirts, a couple of parrots for shoulders, etc. And then a few weeks ago, I learned that the Disney Adventure doesn't have pirate night. So I have pirate outfits for 5 people, but no pirate night. So again,
now you need to take a different Disney cruise that does have pirate night, because most of them do.
Apparently every other one does. I know. So yeah, so that's what I thought I better admit to initially. In one, bad planning, and the second bit, like extra good planning without actually checking the facts there. But
okay.
Yeah. Okay.
But you are going to actually get to board it, which is
we're going to get
news.
to go. Yes. Yeah. Not dressed as pirates though. But we have.
You could just for fun.
Maybe.
You'll be the only one.
I know. So we have a concierge family stateroom with ocean view veranda. We're deck 16 midship, and actually I don't have our number on there, but yeah, it should be fun. Concierge was actually the only room type that could fit us that was available, but I'm actually really glad now, looking at some of the footage so far, that we do have that, because it could be completely hectic. It doesn't look like there's any more availability on the cruise. I don't know whether they're selling all or part, but from what I've seen, there could be 6,000 plus people on the ship. So that actually might be a really necessary little escape if it is super crowded.
Yes. The thing about having a concierge room is that I would have thought people from concierge would have been reaching out to you as well. Because you were talking about like your email going
Yes,
to
I
the
did
junk
actually
folder.
Yes, I have now, made sure that doesn't happen anymore after that initial thing. But I did read on your video about, maybe or a post on WW Prep School about emailing them and asking for the
Hmm.
concierge schedule ahead of
Hmm.
time. And again, they emailed back really, really politely, but they said they can't do that on this ship. They don't have that. But when we board the ship, they gave me lots of information about boarding. We can board between 11 and 3 p.m. Which is great because I really wanted the early boarding. And from what I've seen, I follow TDR Explorer as well, Chris, and he said to get there early. It looks like sometimes you do get to board a little early there.
Hmm.
So we'll give that a try. We'll probably get there around 10 for our 11 a.m. boarding and just see how we go. But yeah, but I couldn't get the schedule. But they did say it will be in our stateroom when we board or in the concierge lounge that we'll get it. So they were sort of saying it might change last minute, etc. I don't know if that's the reason or why.
Yeah. Maybe they don't know yet. So they don't want
Yeah,
to send it to you by email.
exactly. And I think maybe because it's still the first month of sailing, maybe there are things they're ironing out and crowd issues that they're dealing with. So it's a bit of a bummer for my planning because I thought I could use that to really have a lot more
Hmm.
detailed plans. But yeah, we're going to have to wait till we get on to see that.
Okay. So you will be one of the first aboard.
Hopefully. Yep.
Hmm.
At 11 a.m. So I've done all the embarkation forms, etc. I've enrolled the kids. The two younger ones can go to the Oceaneers Club. So I've done all the forms and things for that. Hopefully that will be really fun for them. And I think if it's, again, it's hard to know, but I think if it's sort of an open day kind of, or what do they call when you can go have a look or
Oh, yeah, yeah. The open house.
open house, yeah. Hopefully, if it's open house, we can all go in there and have a bit of a look and see what it's all about so they feel confident going in there. But it would be good, assuming everything is working, it sounds like as soon as you get on the ship, your Navigator app will then be open for bookings for various things like the roller coaster, characters, different restaurants. It sounds like they do look kind of small, some of them, and some of them require reservations, some of the quick service restaurants for seating. So it sounds like as soon as I get on, I will have to get quite busy
Hmm.
just
And I
checking that
wonder
out.
because this is very different than the other cruise
Mhm.
ships with Disney. But I'm wondering if because sometimes what we've seen is that you can connect to the ship's Wi-Fi while you're at the cruise terminal. So,
Yeah.
like, let's say you arrive at 10 and you're waiting for your 11 o'clock boarding. Sometimes you can connect to the Wi-Fi.
I know.
Yes, and so I'm like, maybe if that's true, there you could then start to look at things to book.
Yes, yeah, I will definitely try and do that because if the crowds are an issue, I really want to make sure that I've done everything I can to get on those things. I mean, I feel like there must be some availability, especially for the roller coaster and things, hopefully for everybody. Otherwise, yeah, I could imagine there's quite a few disappointed passengers at the end. But yeah, I want to get straight onto all of that. I'm going to be completely devouring the entire schedule as soon as I get there.
Yes,
Hmm.
I totally get it. I am fascinated by how this works, including having to reserve seating at some quick service places.
Yeah, so there's little ones. So there's a Stitch themed, there's Moana themed. The Stitch one is kind of Hawaiian Islander type food. And Moana, no, maybe the Moana one's the Islander, the Stitch is more burgers, grill type place. There's a Mowgli Jungle Book one, which is more kind of South Asian type food. There's a lot. The food looks good, and it sounds like the reports coming out so far seem to be saying the food is great. So that's exciting and
Hmm.
very much like an Asian theme. So
Hmm.
every single restaurant, I guess, because a lot of guests would be from Southeast Asia and other parts of Asia. So yeah, it sounds like the menu is very much in every place, kind of oriented in that way, which is good. We all like that kind of cuisine. There is a Japanese place, Mike and Sully's restaurant, which we are not going to. That is like Palo. Palo is adults only on this one, I think maybe on all cruises, but we won't do that one and we won't do the Mike and Sully's because they are extra. And it sounds like the Mike and Sully's for the set menu is about 200 US per person, which I think was probably on this particular cruise. We're not that into our food, even though we love Japanese food. I think we'll be fine with all of the other selections that we've got.
That's a lot, though.
Yeah, it is a lot. And it did look on some of the footage that I've seen so far pretty quiet in there. But who knows? Maybe it's a special treat for a lot of people. People will have different priorities on the ship, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I paid a lot of money for fancy Japanese meals, but it's just that when you're on the cruise, you've already paid, a base rate.
Yeah.
So usually when you have to pay for dining, it's not a full price.
Exactly.
What you would normally pay. Yeah.
Exactly. But we'll see. We'll see if I ever see a review of someone someone actually does it and posts a review. It'll be
gonna have
interesting
to
see.
search that out.
Yeah. But I am planning for the purposes of this to try as many different places as we can. I think the boys will help me with some of the soft serve and various places. Definitely the churro Mickey waffles and different things like that. We're really excited for. They seem to have, we think, Dole Whip. We're not sure at the Wheezies Freezies. I'm still trying to establish everything. The rotational dining is really interesting. I've been trying to work out how that works because there's 6 different rotational dining restaurants. So I could see that they kind of split 2 different rosters. And I don't know what happens on the 4th night, which one we'll go back to. Again, that's probably on our schedule when we arrive with that.
6 rotational restaurants.
But they seem to be, they're paired. So what have we got? Sorry, excuse me. I'm also using the DFB food blog. So there's Hollywood Spotlight Club and the Navigators Club, which look kind of fancy, more 1923 maybe style. Yeah, kind of like old Hollywood-ish. Then there's Animator's Palette and Animator's Table. And again, you kind of seem to, they're identical menus. And the Animator's Palette and Table are the ones where you get the little template to draw your own character and it gets animated on the wall. So I think the boys will really love that. All of these places have great kids, like quite extensive kids menus too, which is really good. So even, I think, my kids aren't too fussy, but at least they'll be able to kind of switch it up a little bit of what they eat. And then there's the Enchanted Summer Restaurant, which is split into a Rapunzel side and a Frozen side. So Tangled. So yeah, I don't know where we go on night 4, but will be interesting to see how that all works out.
Yeah, it's all very interesting.
Yeah.
On this embarkation day, other than getting in the app and wanting to book some different things, what are you hoping to do, like first thing on the ship?
Well, I want to go, we'll see if we can get on some of the rides because I have a feeling, especially, so there's the Tron roller coaster. So, Iron Man roller coaster. I'm imagining a totally different thing with Tron. But the Iron Man coaster, you go around once at a set speed, and then the second lap of it, you get to choose your speed. So it's hard to tell when you look at it from a distance. It never seems as fast as it feels when you're on it. But I think we'll all probably go on that. My husband doesn't love scary rides, so he may not go on that. But I think that could be really, really fun just because that sense that you might be about to topple off the ship could be
into the water.
into the water from quite high up. I think even if it's not that fast, that might be enough to kind of make that pretty fun. And then there's a Dumbo style ride. It's all Marvel landing, this area, so it's all kind of Marvel themed. And again, I know from those kind of rides, the queue can build up for those kind of things because it goes at a sort of set time. And then there's the Pims races where it's not, I don't think it's not like Autopia. It's like a little mini racetrack that you drive tiny cars around. So those two sound a little bit underwhelming, but again, when it's on top of a ship, maybe could be fun.
Yes.
But we'll try and give that a go before everyone else boards the ship. I don't actually know how many concierge rooms there are. So who knows? The crowds could be there right with us at that point. And then there's also the water slides, which look pretty fun. So that's all Toy Story themed. It's called Toy Story Place. And that will be fun again. I think the boys have never been on a cruise. Just going up and seeing that there's pools on a ship, I think will be amazing. My whole life, I've seen the Disney ships and wanted to go on Disney ships. So
Uh-huh.
it's my first time now in my 40s. And for them, I think, yeah, they've got that childlike kind of, they look at
Mhm.
things differently. So, yeah, as much as we can do on that first day, we will do.
What about dining? Because a lot of people, when they board, they head for lunch.
Yeah, so there's a Pixar market restaurant. All my kids, I mean, they love everything Disney, but they definitely love Pixar. My oldest son was obsessed with Lightning McQueen for quite a few years, and it sounds like in that Pixar restaurant there is a Cars themed zone. There's all different movies represented. So I think we'll just go there, and that's a quick service buffet style from what I can tell.
Okay,
Yeah.
that is fun.
Yeah.
Ok
I have read things about going to sit down dining if it's too crowded, but I'm hoping that that slightly earlier entry onto the ship might make that a bit better. And it does look like that's one of the places you go for breakfast too. It does seem like that's fine if you wake up early, but not so great later on. It looked really, really crowded. And
Mhm.
I think some of the videos that I watched, the ship wasn't even half full. So yeah,
But you're concierge, so if the rules are
Mhm.
the same on the adventure, you can get room service of the hot breakfast items, not just the continental ones.
Oh, cool.
I
Okay.
I think that's true, which in that case, I would just get it delivered
Yeah,
for
yeah,
free.
yeah. Exactly. Forget waking up at 6:30 and running there in the
Yeah,
dark.
yeah, don't do
Yeah.
that. So, I mean, yeah, let us know if that's how it
Yeah.
works, but that would
Yeah,
be nice.
it would be nice. And they do have a lounge, and I'm sure there's probably some breakfast offerings in the lounge. I'm not sure if we needed to. The other thing with the concierge area is that they do have their own pool and pool area. So that I'm looking forward to as well. Again, if it's just impossible to find a lounger by the pool and it's really crowded, it would be nice that there's an area that it might be slightly more doable. And kids can go everywhere except a couple of the bars and the Palo Trattoria. So yeah, it's interesting that there's no adult-only pools that I can tell, or areas of the ship that kids can't go to, which is fine for us because we have kids, but might be tricky for those who don't necessarily want kids splashing around them all day.
Mhm. I only cruise with adults, so
Yeah.
that would definitely be a factor to me, but that's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I think maybe the spa, but I'm not even sure if that's adults only.
Okay. So this day you got your quick service buffet, you got all these different rides that you're hoping to go on, you're hoping to book
Mhm.
activities, and
Yeah.
then that evening you'll have your rotational dining
Yes.
restaurant. Are you guys early
We
dining or
are, yes.
later?
So when I hastily rebooked this cruise and I downloaded the app and set it all up, I saw that we were 8 p.m. dining or 8:15. I was like, "Oh, no." That could really I was like, "Again, another spanner in the works of this trip." Because my boys go to bed reasonably early. They can go to bed later on a holiday and on a cruise, but to eat at that
Mhm.
time, because they normally go to bed early, they're also kinda hungry earlier. So, anyway, I emailed. They're getting used to me emailing them, and I remembered that the concierge part of the thing was you did get your requested dining time. So I emailed them and they were really nice about that and changed that for us because I couldn't actually change it in the app. It would only let me waitlist. So yeah, I had to email them and get that done, but that is now done for the 5:45 dining.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you'll have that
So
your first of those this night.
yes. Yeah, so we'll try and do the sail away party.
Okay.
I don't exactly know how this works, but they seem to do the sail away party every hour from about 2 p.m. So I
Every
don't know
hour?
exactly how it seems like it. There's a
Oh my
sail
gosh.
away show, but we'll find out. But yeah, obviously they're not sailing away 3 times, but yeah, we'll find out how that works.
That is
Uh,
nuts. Is it the
yeah.
size of the ship so they have more of them?
I wonder if it's so because they can't fit every single
Hmm.
guest in that central area. So on the Adventure, you've got a central atrium that sort of goes up to the sky. So another tip that I've got from my research so far is to always have a hat because when you least expect it, you're suddenly out in the sun, which can be really hot because so much of the inner spaces where you're watching shows and things is outside. So, yes, so that inner atrium area, maybe that's to make sure everyone gets a chance to see the show and it's not too crowded. But yeah, we'll try and see the Sail Away show. Then afterwards, there's a couple of good shows you would expect, but the one that we want to see is Remember, which has got Wally and Eve kind of going through different Disney stories. So that sounds like it's really, really good and will be fun
And
to do.
as of right now, you don't know the show schedule for your cruise?
No, we don't know. There's nothing that we can find. And like I say, when I asked for it, we don't have it. It just said the shows are timed to coordinate with your dining. So, yes, I'm assuming it's kind of, yeah, they do the two.
But due to the length of your cruise, I assume there's going to be a show a few nights.
Yes, yeah, yeah. And there's an Avengers one. So there's a Remember, then there's Avengers Assemble, which I've seen some footage of and looks really, really cool. Deadpool and Spider-Man and sort of winches and flying through the air. So the kids will love that. Then there's a Duffy and Friends show. And
Mhm.
we're big fans. We love, in particular, here, the boys, two of the boys have Olumel plush toys. And so, yeah, we're looking forward to seeing the Duffy and Friends as well, being in that part of the world.
Mhm. Exactly. It's very popular overseas, but also amongst some hardcore Disney fans here in the North America area.
Yeah. So we've been
Um,
to Aulani and the boys just had the absolute best time of their life, but they got to meet, yeah, Duffy and Shelley May and Olumel there, but the others are a little bit of a mystery to them.
okay. All right. So anything else on this first embarkation day?
Well, I'll see what the schedule allows and what we can do. The fireworks seem amazing. They're fireworks and a drone show every night. However, they're 10:30 p.m. So it just maybe the eldest, the 12-year-old can stay up, but I don't know about the 8-year-old whether he's going to make it to 10:30 p.m. or whether he'll after such an exciting day whether he will just conk out in the room. So we'll
Is
see.
this I do wonder too about that being very loud for people that are in bed at 10:30.
Yeah, especially when it's open air, as
Yeah.
well, yeah. I know, but it looks so good. It's a Lion King kind of theme and the drones just it still blows my mind that that even can happen. So, yeah, I'm hoping I will definitely try and stay up for the fireworks one of the nights, and hopefully we can get at least one or two of the kids as well.
Do you know if there's a view from your stateroom?
Not yet, no.
Okay.
So we are, as you kind of, we're on the right, sort of
Uh-huh.
when you look the ship map forward and back. So yeah, I don't know. Literally, it was the only room that I could choose
Yeah,
at
you're
that
like, "I
point.
booked what I could," but
I
I'm
booked
just
what I could.
curious.
Yeah, and
It's
when I was doing my original booking, which obviously I booked the same room then, I searched everything and I tried to look at different, but no one had any recommendations for which side you should
Mhm.
be on the Disney Adventure because no one had been on it yet, and we
It's
don't really know the
too
route.
That's the downside of going on a new ship, but
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It it's a cruise to nowhere as well, so it just goes out to sea, and so the view looks beautiful, but it is just the ocean the whole time. There's no stop, there's no getting off to explore any place. It's kind of the destination all on the ship, which I'm okay with. Initially, it was like, "Oh, it'd be nice if we could kinda have something like that," but yeah, it's obviously not the way it's gonna go.
That's not it's time on the ship.
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, so are you ready to talk about Friday, April 10th?
Yes. So, well, because we don't have the schedule, really I'm just going to try a bit of everything. We're going to try a bit of kids club. We're going to try and eat in as many places as we can, see all the shows. If there's things like fun activities like quizzes or different things, I really want to do that. I've seen just things of other cruises where there's different Disney quizzes, and we had this, what's it called? Pictopia, I think, this Disney trivia game at home that we played as a family, which we really like. So it'll be fun to do things like that. There's a couple of the bars. There's one called Spellbound, which seems to have some pretty cool, lot of dry ice, themey type cocktails and things. So if the kids are happy either resting in the room or at kids club, then Sanj and I my husband might go and try some of those. And there's a Buccaneers bar, which looks like a sports bar kind of, and we like baseball as well. So maybe we'll try and go and watch a little bit of that if the timing works out. Baseball for us, the live games are early in the morning. So generally, if it's an evening game. So yeah, we'll try and watch something like that.
Okay. And I take it this is just kind of your philosophy every day of the cruise. We're going to just try all the things.
Yeah. We're going to try all the things because with the lack of an actual schedule, there's a Moana show. What else have I written? Yeah, there's a few. It seems like the characters will be that one character I'm really looking forward to is Baymax, who we've never met before. And so there's this San Francisco kind of arcade area on the ship, which is kind of where the kids club is and where there's a tween club and a teen club as well. So my middle son, who's 10, he could kind of go to either. I think if they're not too strict on those ages, he could be able to go into the Edge 11 to 14-year-olds area. And that looks like it's got lots of cool video games. You don't need to pay extra for those. They look like they're all included. So they will think that's pretty cool. And just different games that you can play. But in that area, you can meet Baymax. So that's definitely something I want to do. And Baymax also does a big exercise class in the central atrium on the stage. So that I definitely want to get out there and do that as well because we love Baymax. It's not my favorite movie, but I really like the character.
It's sweet. Okay.
Yeah. And there's princesses. There's obviously Mickey, Minnie, Goofy. My youngest son loves Mickey. He's got a big Mickey that he sleeps with, and all the Duffy characters. As many characters as we can do. We often find in the parks when we've been just queues and trying to get sort of character meet and greets can be just a lot harder when you've got to wait and things. So I think it'll be fun to do this.
Okay, so other than your sort of general philosophy to try lots of things while you're at sea, do you have specific things other than that are scheduled or booked?
No, we did look through a few of those, but nothing really stood out. So there's things like champagne tasting or I think like a whiskey tasting. Again, they're pretty expensive. One thing that I did, and it's not really our thing, I think, again, it's nice to have a cocktail or, a glass of wine, but I don't really think I need to go to a tasting and while I'm on the ship. And we have the kids with us as well. It's a sort of family-oriented trip. The thing I did think about was there's a number of karaoke rooms that you can book. And I thought that could be really fun. However, I kind of decided against it. I was like, it'll just be me singing and everyone else can
You're just performing?
Yeah. I was like, actually, does everyone love karaoke or is it just me? And I think it's just me. So I haven't booked that, but who knows? If everyone suddenly decides they want to and there's space, maybe we'll look at booking something like that. But yeah, there was obviously Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique is there, which would be fun if I had kids who wanted to dress up like that. But yeah, my boys, they love Disney princesses, but they don't want to dress as Disney princesses, sadly. I missed the opportunity to have someone twirling in a skirt. But there's face painting and like a Marvel style lab. Again, they like Marvel. I just don't think it means that much to them for the effort and the cost of that. But there's plenty that they will really love on the ship. So that's why I thought, again, if we get there and they have done everything, maybe, who knows, that's an option.
Okay. Does that take us through basically the few days of your cruise?
Yeah. So then 4-night one.
Okay.
Yeah, so we disembark on Monday, the 13th of April.
Mhm.
I'm assuming pretty early. It sounds like from 7 a.m.-ish. Hopefully, again, with the concierge, that's not too hectic that morning. Get some breakfast and get all packed. And then what I've done, you can come back to the Marina Bay Cruise Terminal, and that is very close to the kind of iconic Marina Bay Sands Hotel. It looks like it's a ship kind of floating above the three buildings. But then I was like, well, our flight home to Perth doesn't leave until 7 p.m. at night. So I looked up luggage services, and actually what they have, if you're flying Qantas or Singapore Airlines, you can get off the cruise and take your luggage straight to a check-in counter called Cruise Fly, and they check it in for your flight later in the day and take it to the airport for you. And you've just got your boarding passes. So that sounds great. We'll still have hand luggage with us, but at least that frees us up for the day. There was another service called, I think, Lug Me, where they'll just take your bags, store them, and then take them to the airport later for you. So you don't need to return back to the same place. So I looked at that as well, but this one seems since that they could check it in for the flight. I mean, hopefully we arrive home and our luggage also does, and it's not in Singapore forever. But it seems to be, like a thing that they do there, which is a really great service.
It's a really great service. So after you check your luggage, but before you're ready to fly home, what are you doing? How are you spending your time?
Yeah. We have two options. Obviously, there is Universal Singapore. We're Disney people, and I find because we love Disney so much, the Universal there is, we have been to it the last trip, but it doesn't have the same kind of resonance for us. And it's a very small park, and it's mostly unshaded, and it's super, super hot. So as much as we could do that, I don't know that we will, but it is an option. If it's a cloudy, kind of cooler day and the boys are keen, we might do that. And they have a lot more. Universal obviously has the rides that are a little bit kind of more thrill-seeking. And so that definitely cuts my husband out, and to buy tickets for most of the rides he won't go on seems a bit of a waste. So, but what they do have there at Marina Bay Sands is the Art Science Museum, and they have a team lab there. Have you seen those? They have them in Tokyo. It's kind of like projections and immersive experiences. So they have rooms, again, like you can draw a picture and then it starts kind of walking on the wall, and really cool light and sound and immersions and things. So those kind of crystal curtains and things. So that's pretty fun. I think that looks really fun anyway. And they have there at the moment an insect photography exhibition where they've got these beautiful kind of photographs of insects close up, which I thought the boys might really like. So yeah, we think we might go there. That will also be air conditioned. And there at Marina Bay Sands is also the Gardens by the Bay, which again you see in a lot of Singapore promotion, where it's these kind of brightly lit trees that they've kind of man-made trees, and a treetop walk that goes around that, and botanic gardens and kind of cool, like a cactus garden. So that all sounds really fun. Again, if it's like super hot, we've got the Art Science Museum. So, and then at the airport, there's a really big shopping mall with this cool indoor waterfall called Jewel Changi. So we'll go out there. Since we don't have our suitcases to check in, we might go out there and explore that for a little bit before our flight. So we've kind of probably have from about 8 or 9 a.m., I guess, till getting to the airport at 5-ish. So yeah, then we've got a big day, but I think we'll be able to fill it pretty easily.
All right. Well, this sounds fun.
Yeah.
It's going to be a real learning process for both of us to figure out how this new ship works.
I know. I really hope we have a great time, because I think we've all been looking forward to it so much. And it's hard because I think when people are used to Disney cruises, it sounds like they're going on this one going, yeah, this is a bit different and a bit weird. So I hope us being first timers, we just get hit with all the awesomeness.
Frame of reference. Yeah, I get it. Okay, well, I assume you will have a good time, and I'm excited to hear about it. So I'll talk to you in a couple weeks.
Thank you so much.
Welcome back from your trip, Monique.
Thank you, Shannon.
We're talking on Wednesday, April 15th, so you got back 2 days ago.
We got back at 2 a.m., got to bed, 2 a.m., plane touchdown at 12:30 a.m., and quickly got out of there and to bed at 2 a.m. So I'm glad this wasn't yesterday, but
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, it would
I'm
have
good
been.
today.
Yeah, it would have been a hard day. Okay, so how are you doing, and how was your trip?
We had the best time. We really had so much fun. I cannot believe it was only 1 week that we're away. It really feels like a much longer trip and feels like coming back is, yeah, back to reality, but it was a really great week.
Some people think Disney trips go by really fast, but I say one Disney day equals 2 regular days.
Yeah. And just writing up my notes and realizing how many things we did in an hour as well, especially once we got to the ship. But yeah, it was a really busy time.
Okay.
But awesome.
Okay, good. Lots to talk through. So let's start at Monday, April 6th, where you were flying to
Mhm.
Singapore.
Yeah, so this went smoothly up until we got to the airport. And just as we were about to get ready for boarding, we got a notice that our plane was delayed. Ended up only being an hour and a half delayed, but made the 5.5 hour flight to Singapore from Perth just that little bit longer, I guess. But that was okay. We had a transfer waiting for us at the other end and very quickly went off to our hotel, which was the Mandai Rainforest Resort. So I think we were meant to get there maybe around about 7. We got there probably about 8:15. So in all, it wasn't a big deal. But yeah, just kind of slightly disheartening way to start the trip with an hour and a half delay.
Yeah. You had said in the pre-trip on this night, maybe we'll get room service, maybe we'll go to dinner. Was this a room service
Yeah.
night?
Definitely room service, so that was really good.
Yeah.
The little one actually, he was like, "I'm not hungry." He went straight to bed. So I think that was probably about 8:30 PM that he went to bed. And again, just I think we got to the airport about 9:30 in the morning, so it's the same time zone. So yeah, by 8:30 at night, it's a 5.5 hour flight, but a whole day of travel. So he was pretty tired, but the rest of us got room service. Highly, highly recommend the Mandai Rainforest Resort. It's only been opened about 8 months, but this family retreat room that we had a bunk bed, a double bunk. So when I say double, it was a double bed up on a ladder with this gorgeous rainforest wallpaper. And then I had so the 2 little ones went up there. But underneath it had this kind of cool play area that they could sit and relax. It was just like for the size of a normal hotel room, the layout of the space for the 4 of us was really, really fun. And again, I think this trip is
I was picturing a bigger room given the way you've described it, but you're saying it's regular size, just configured uniquely.
Yeah, it's configured where the bathroom kind of goes down one side of the room, not the whole side, but half the side. So it was like you walked into a normal room, but instead of having a bed and maybe a little living room seating area, that was all the bunk area. But yeah, I think this trip is because my oldest is about to turn 13 in a few months. It's doing a few things like this room where he's going to be too old for that soon. And so it's nice to have, that last trip while they're still young enough to appreciate those kid things, which is really nice.
Yeah, super sweet. Also, the Disney stuff, sometimes that changes for them too.
Yeah. So we're not at that point yet, but that was really fun. And yeah, so I ordered room service, and then pretty much as soon as that arrived, we went to bed.
So then can we talk about Tuesday, April 7th then?
Yeah, so Tuesday, April 7th. So the Mandai Wildlife kind of reserve, I think they call it. It's 5 different parks. So a little bit Disney World-ish in that respect, where you can choose which park you're going to go to on which day. And so there's the Singapore Zoo is kind of the flagship main one. There's River Wonders, which is themed around the rivers of the world. So you go you're walking through the Mekong, you get to the Nile, you've got like the Mary River from Australia as it goes around. So it's really, really cool. And then there's the night safari, which only opens at 6:30 PM. That's a separate park. So it's not going around the normal kind of parks or zoo at night. It's its own separate zoo there that you can only go to at night with animals that prefer the twilight and evening. And what else is there? Then there's I think it's called Bird Paradise, which used to be the Jurong Bird Park at a different part of Singapore, but it moved out there and that's brand new. And then Rainforest Wild, which is one that we actually didn't get to. But we started on River Wonders. The main reason I wanted to go there was because they had giant pandas, and that's something that we love and very hard to see around the world. So we started there. So walked there from the resort. It's all kind of just on a walkway, very easy to get to. And it was sunny, really nice day. Pretty soon was about to change. But we walked through awesome things. The pandas were incredible. They were just out. It was early in the morning, about 9 a.m. I think we got there when it opened. So there was really hardly any crowds. And the only time we've seen pandas before was in Hong Kong at Ocean Park. And again, it was amazing, but really, really crowded there. Whereas this was just, no crowds, just watching the pandas chewing their bamboo. They were just having their breakfast. That was awesome. Then we kept walking around. At about 9:30, 9:45, it started to rain. And I said to the boys, don't worry, in the tropics, it does rain, but the rain just comes and then it just goes. But no, it rained from 9:45 till about 3 p.m. Yeah. But the River Wonders Park is 80% undercover. So that was actually really good. We got to have, most of it was undercover. But we were going on this River Quest boat ride, which was kind of the main feature, again, apart from the pandas of this park, that you get on a boat and you go and see all the animals. You kind of go on this little kind of boat trip through the animal habitats. But that was actually closed because of the rain, that they were worried about a lightning threat. So we couldn't do that, which was a bit of a bummer. But we kept going. We saw an anaconda that was huge. Again, things we can't see in Australia. We have lots of snakes, do not have anacondas. And it was shedding its skin, and its skin was floating. That was really cool. We saw capybaras. Capybaras were, again, exotic for us. Are you laughing?
No, I'm scared of snakes. So what you think is cool would terrify me.
Oh. Well, it was behind, a very hopefully thick plate of glass. But so wet by this point. I bought 2 umbrellas, which then I had to cart with me for the rest of the trip and not forget how to. Umbrellas that didn't fit in our suitcases, it turned out, so they were hand luggage. But we had umbrellas just walking around. We went to Starbucks. There was a Starbucks there, and I think I mentioned in the pre-trip, again, exotic things for Australians. My son was like, wow, can I get a Frappuccino? He was thrilled to find a Starbucks. So at that point, it was 11:30, which there was a show on at 11:30 of, I think, Meet the Animals show. So we walked right back, halfway through the park from the Starbucks was more at the entrance area. It kind of goes in a loop. So we'd kind of done the full circle, then went back past the manatees, which, again, we've seen them in Florida at Epcot, but they're just pretty cool to see those. The show was very good. Again, capybaras and various animals. Everything there at these parks does seem well treated, I should say, I guess, because zoos, I know people have different mixed feelings about, but it felt like all of this has been done so beautifully and with a lot of consideration for conservation and education and care of the animals. So, I should definitely point that out, that it in terms of animals in captivity, they seem to be doing a really good job there. To watch that show, then because of the rain, we walked back to the entrance again and decided to just go home and wait for the rain to finish up. So we had room service lunch in the hotel room again, just from the boys just had kids menu, and that kind of got everyone's energy levels back. At about 3 p.m, the rain stopped. So, and it was quite beautiful because it was all set in a rainforest. Even though it was actually raining, it just looked amazing. The view was just kind of greenery. They've just designed this place so cleverly that it feels like it's only 8 months old, but it feels like it's kind of been there and the vines have been growing over it forever. So we went up to the rooftop pool, which is stunning, just absolutely stunning. Again, looking out into this reserve, and you're in the middle of one of Asia's biggest kind of most major cities, and yet it just feels out there that you're in a jungle. So that was really cool. I have sent photos of that. rooftop pool. The boys just loved that. And then we thought, well, it's about 4:00 and the park, I think the last river quest was going to be about 5:30. So I was like, come on, boys, we can do this. So we went back to the room, changed, walked back to the river quest, we could use our tickets that we had earlier the day, went back there and it was going. But we thought it was getting on a proper boat and like sailing around the zoo kind of thing. But it's a ride. It's a boat ride. It's like a Pirates of the Caribbean style kind of get in a boat and go along this kind of like track. But there's flamingos on one side. There's leopards on another side, like behind glass, but it just kind of did this smooth transition. There's monkeys swinging above you. It was so good. So good that then as we came around, the guy was like, do you want to go again or do you want to like get off now? I was like, we'll go again. We'll go again.
See,
So,
I thought you were going
yes.
to. I thought you were going to say that because of the rain, that a lot of people were trying to board it and that it would be hard to get on. But instead, you're going twice in a row.
We went twice in a row, yeah, but the capacity was quite big. But maybe because this is sort of 4:30, I think by that point, people who'd been there for the day had given up and gone home. I'm not sure, but it was awesome. So, yeah, highly recommend that. Then we came back. We walked past the manatees in the end like 5 times. Like by the end, it's like, manatees, everyone. Like the first time we're like, wow, that's amazing. So walked back out again and back to the hotel. We had dinner. I don't think we even went to the room. We had dinner in the Planters Shed restaurant at the bottom there, which again, just easy kids menu. I had some chicken satay there, which I had quite a lot in Singapore. And then back to the night safari. And I nearly made a bit of an error here because I knew that was the only night that we could do the night safari. I knew we'd get in too late the night before, but I hadn't booked tickets. I'd kind of left. I looked it up. It didn't seem like you really needed to have tickets for any of these things. But as it turned out, the night safari had time tickets, 7 to 7:30, 7:30 to 8, 8 to 8:30. So by the time we walked back there at 6:30, the park opened at 6:30, but the safari tour didn't start till 7. They were like, oh, the 7 to 7:30 and 7:30 to 8 are sold out, and the only ones I could buy was 8 to 8:30. But which wouldn't have been a huge drama, just would have pushed everything an hour later. So again, as a planner, when you get those things a bit wrong, it's kind of slightly frustrating. But I bought the 8 to 8:30 tickets and just took it up to the entry and they scanned us in and it was not a problem. And then I saw this booth which had advertised $10 express, $10 per person express pass. And the line for this first safari vehicle was massive, just absolutely massive. It was like everyone tries to get there for that very first tour. I guess they've got young kids, etc., or just they're maybe trying to combine the other parks. And so they're doing, as soon as one park closes, they go to the night safari. So I spent that $40, very much money well spent. We went to this private waiting area and we were first board. And yeah, when you have kids who are kind of had a massive day and tired, that was definitely very good advice. But we wouldn't have known about it except that I just kind of saw this little fast pass booth there.
As a Disney Parks person, you've been trained well to pay for the.
I have. You've already just spent so much, that little bit of extra might just might be the value that you really, really need to actually enjoy your visit. That was incredible. So elephants, we got on at twilight and elephants, white tigers, the Bengal tigers, just going around. But then all this so that was incredible tour. Just sitting there relaxing. And as it went around, you could just see all these animals that were quite happily kind of roaming in the twilight, rhinos. And then when we got off the tram, it was dark by that point, but that made it, we had like flashlights obviously on our phones. And you're literally wandering around a zoo in the dark, which is hilarious and really, really fun for the boys. So everyone kind of just got like their energy back for that. Things like there was a sign that said fishing cat. I'm like, what's the fishing cat doing? Is it kind of like, what's a fishing cat? Never heard of a fishing cat. And went and saw this kind of large feral looking tabby cat with a big pond of koi in front of it. But
So are they called fishing cats because they're cats that fish?
I think so. Yeah. They're bigger than your average house cat, but not by much.
Hmm.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to pat it. I have a feeling it's not that friendly. Another thing was a leopard cat that was more like a tabby cat. And then pangolins, which we'd never seen before, may or may not have had a role in our 2020 pandemic, who knows. But we went to check out the pangolins and they were super cute, super beautiful. So, just awesome to see things that we can't see. And everything came with a very, very heavy conservation message. And I think that's just, really good for the boys to keep hearing about, okay, this is the way we used to do things. Like the last tiger in wild tiger was shot in 1930 and they were so proud of themselves for ridding the island of the wild tigers. And now we understand so much more. So, it was kind of a little bit like a tour with a side of human guilt, but at the same time, it was good for the boys to have that whole story of wildlife and why it's really important.
I think it was Steve Irwin that had said you have to bring the animals to the people to make them care or something like that.
Yes. Yeah. And that's the thing. I think that's, with a zoo, I'm sure there are still so many zoos where the animals are not well cared for, but this felt like that was the purpose of this zoo, was about you can't care about what you've never seen. And so, to be able to see the elephants, yes, you hear the story about poaching and things like that, but it's not. The elephants themselves look very well cared for and very loved. Yeah.
Good. I'm glad this was a good Tuesday. That was April 7th. So
that was April 7th. Yeah.
The next day was Wednesday, April 8th, and you had more plans, including your husband arriving.
Yes. So I'll just say we had 18,000 steps that day before, which is probably an average Disney day, but quite a big Singapore.
Well, and
day.
I bet your kids had even more steps with their little legs.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. They were troopers. They did really well, but they loved it. They absolutely loved it.
Good.
So the next day, Wednesday, we woke up, had breakfast, packed up our bags and checked out. We left our suitcases at the hotel and went across to Singapore Zoo. So again, probably there about 9:30. I think it opened at 9. Again, just awesome open spaces, really cool. There was this area there called the Fragile Forest, which is animals just you go in to, I guess, a massive indoor rainforest, but there's lemurs just running free, walking past you, climbing up like stairs next to you. There's iguanas just hanging out, bats, fruit bats everywhere, and they'd all just been fed, so they were just eating, but no barriers between you, and heaps of like crowned pigeons, really, really cool monkeys and things in there. Obviously nothing that's a danger to humans or that can't move out the way of small humans, but that was a real highlight there. It was very hot. I was carrying the umbrellas again, thinking it might rain again. So I carried those 2 umbrellas like all around Singapore. But by the time I think we got to about lunchtime, there was a petting zoo, fun things like that. The boys were brushing goats and stuff in the petting zoo, and just the usual kind of what you would expect in like a world-class zoo. They used to have a polar bear there, which I think I told you. Inuka was their polar bear, who's kind of a celebrity in Singapore. It was the very first tropical polar bear. They had 2 polar bears who had the baby, so it was the first tropical born polar bear in the world. But again, as education kind of grew, they realized not so good to have a polar bear in Singapore, even though they had a kind of cooled environment for it. So there's still statues everywhere for that polar bear, which my eldest Teddy, he really loves polar bears. So that was kind of fun seeing all that. And I reminded them that when they were little, we had actually seen Inuka for real, which was really cool there. So I'm trying to think. Oh yeah. So then it was pretty hot by about 1 p.m. So we came back to the hotel, we got our stuff, we got a Grab. They don't have Ubers in Singapore. They have something called a Grab, which is the same thing. So we just had to download that app and got that to the Shangri-La Singapore, which was our kind of hotel that was, because the zoo parks are quite far out. So this was much closer to the city and to the Marina Bay cruise terminal where we were going the next day. We had a treetop suite here, which is like a kid's specialty suite. Again, my kids would have loved it like so much when they were little, but they're just on the edge. They still loved it. The two younger ones who are 10 and 8 had a bit of an argument over who was going to be in the treehouse bed. There was one in the treehouse and one underneath the treehouse. So, yeah, my middle son, Milo, he got the top bunk. He won.
How did you decide on this? How did he win?
I convinced Lucky, who's the youngest, who's 8, that there was a bunk bed on the cruise ship, and that was for 4 nights, whereas this one was only for 1 night. So maybe would he like to do that for 4 nights? Spoiler alert, turns out our room did not have a bunk bed on the cruise. But that was a future me problem at that point. I didn't know that at that point.
In the moment, you had solved the problem.
Definitely the photos that I saw of our room had a pull-down bunk bed. So it just turned out that wasn't the room we got on the cruise. But anyway, at that point, that went down fine. They have a little water slide area at this hotel. So we went down there. They had, which was really convenient, the floor where these kids' suites are, it's kind of called the family floor. And they had this laundry, which was right opposite our room door, and really nice hotel laundry. I don't normally get excited about hotel laundries, but because we'd been there by this point, this is kind of the travel day plus the next day and it's hot and stuff. I just thought I'll put some washing on while I'm opposite and this laundry. So I did a bit of laundry. So awesome. So simple. Some things like this, instead of hiding the laundry on some kind of corner of a random floor, just, it right near the lifts. Very, very small things, but it's just kind of helped to also just get their wet clothes dry and stuff with the washing machine and dryer. But while I did that, I sent them down to the kids club. I checked them in down there, and I didn't think the eldest, who's 12, would go, but it had this massive ball pit, like the little balls that you kind of jump in. So they were down there. They had a great time. They were down there for an hour in the end. I had to ask the staff to get them out so we could go have some dinner. So you never know. The old kids club that I thought, especially when we couldn't travel during the pandemic, I thought, God, they were our prime kids club years. Like they were too young for it before it, and after it they were a bit too old. But yeah, they actually really, it's pretty specky. It's called Buds. And yet they've really gone to town in terms of the space that they've provided there, but it was great.
I'm fascinated that a hotel had a kids club like that, but hopefully this bodes well for your cruise.
Yes, it does for the older two particularly. But yeah, so we had dinner by the pool, and my husband's flight was on time and he arrived. It was great to see him. This room that we had had a little eating area. So again, he was too tired to go out for dinner, and the kids and I had eaten by the pool. So we just had dinner in the room and caught up on kind of the last couple of days, what we've all been up to, and went to bed.
And you went to bed because you had to get up the next morning to board the adventure.
Yes, Disney adventure. Okay, so I'm just getting my spot. Yeah, so breakfast at the hotel. So this is at the Shangri-La. They have a big buffet there. Boys went to the pool. I packed up our bags despite only being there 1 night. It's amazing how things just get everywhere. Oh, and I forgot to say the Shangri-La also, they have something I've seen before at the Legoland hotels where they have a little treasure chest. And at 6 p.m, they put a little clue under your door or in your little mailbox that they have. And you've got to solve the clues, and it gives you a code to open the treasure box. So that was a really fun thing too. Like, again, when they were young, they would have gone completely nuts. And they had all these kind of special amenities there for little kids. It's like, oh, we don't kind of need that anymore, but it would have been awesome back in the day. So highly recommend for young children, the Shangri-La. We got a grab after that to the Marina Bay Cruise Centre. The signage was great, and so many staff, like a staff member every 10 meters going through, doing with the Mickey kind of hand to do the high fives, luggage check-in, so totally easy, staff everywhere. So we were concierge. So this was, I think we probably got there at about 10:45, 10:30, 10:45. I wanted to get there early in case we could board early. But yeah, just with the timing and traffic and things, it was probably about 10:30 by the time we got there. That was all seamless. Went inside. As soon as we showed them the concierge, they sent us to this special concierge lounge and we got to sit down. Then they called our name and we went up. It was just super well organized. And Singapore in general is like that. I don't know if all Disney cruise terminals are like that, but it was seamless. Checked in and then went to another, once we'd kind of, I don't think we did customs at that point. No, we didn't. But we went to another concierge lounge after doing the initial check-in. And there was a couple of hosts there who were going around to each family and just saying what was happening, like go on board and your room key will be ready at your door at 12:30 p.m. and to go have lunch at the Hollywood Spotlight Club. I didn't know that much about it, but I knew that, I think I said in the pre-trip, I really wanted to do the water slides in case they got busy. So I just said to the host, I was like, what time do the water slides open? And she looked it up and she was like, 12 p.m. So I thought, okay, we'll go have lunch and then we'll go to the water slides. But as it turned out, we didn't board till about 11:30, maybe 11:30, 11:40 a.m. So I was like, right, forget lunch for now. We'll go straight up to those water slides. And I think there's been a lot of talk about with the adventure, instead of it being that you enter into a grand atrium and they announce your names, you do just walk onto the ship into a corridor pretty much. And you can kind of go left or right. Right sort of had some shops and left had the San Francisco Street from Big Hero 6, the kind of themed area around that. So we went in there. I don't know why they could still announce you. They don't have to announce you to a grand atrium. They could still announce you just to make it feel like you've arrived or something. Whereas it really is just walking on and no one knows where they're going or what they're doing, really.
Yes.
But we went left into San Francisco Street, and that theming of that area is insanely good. It has all like video games and things, but all of the what do you call parlor games? I don't know what you call them, but like Wreck-It Ralph type arcade games. But they're all done especially for this cruise. They're not ones that you'll find anywhere else. They're all individually made. Things like it's because it's in a subway, the beginning bit, there's a fake vending machine with fake kind of subway grime around it. Like everything, the theming is so, so good. So we walked around that area. Then it was close to 12 p.m. So we went up to the water slides. First on the water slides for the cruise. Very proud of that.
First ones. You roped up the water slides.
We roped up the water slides. But importantly, there was another guy there who was Australian as well, and he was doing a back-to-back cruise. So they'd had to get off the ship at 9:30, then they'd got back on with us at 11:30, but all their stuff was still in their room. So I was chatting to him and he said, we didn't get to go on the water slides at all on the last cruise because it was always really hot and a really long line in the sun. So he's like, so we are here to do the water slides as well. And then he said, also Pizza Planet, which was just around the corner from the water slides. He's like, the lines there are half an hour long. He goes, but right now it's empty. So you should do the water slides and you should go to Pizza Planet. So thank you very much, Australian friend. He was great. And he also added me to the cruise WhatsApp, which I certainly couldn't keep up with all the messages on that. But that was interesting as well. I didn't realize that there was a cruise WhatsApp, but that was good to kind of just get a few tips. I would say 50% of the information was accurate and 50% not in terms of timing. I think we were all just guessing and getting info from different places, but that was good too. So we did go to Pizza Planet. So did the water slides. There's 2 water slides, the Woody and Jessie's slides. They were great. Really, really cool. The yellow one, which I think is the Woody one, or maybe it's Jessie one, has an area that's transparent on the bottom and the top, and it goes quite close to the opening down into the garden stage central atrium area. So that was pretty fun. Staff were amazing, heaps of staff. I found out about 2,500 staff, I think, on the cruise. So yeah, all of that was awesome. Pizza from Pizza Planet was fine. Nothing to necessarily queue up for half an hour in the sun for, but that was good. Good to actually get that tip. And then we went to it by that time, 12:30, went to our room. Room keys were ready. We had a concierge family ocean view veranda room. I thought that it was just one room with the bunk beds that pulled down. It was very hard to see because I guess the cruise is so new, very hard to see that type of room in any great detail. But it actually it was kind of like almost like 2 bedrooms. It had a little bedroom off to the side with a double bed and a bathroom, very tiny, but still it was another bathroom. And then it had a lounge area which pulled down to be 2 beds. So it wasn't a bunk, it was just 2 side-by-side beds. And then we had a bedroom. The balcony went across the whole thing. The bathroom was really spacious with, again, 2 entries, not the split bathroom, but 2 entries. So yeah, but we did have that smaller bathroom to the side. So my youngest really wants to see the movie Thor now. He hadn't really known much about that, but after being surrounded by Thor pictures and other things, he's into that. So that was, the room, amazing. Absolutely amazing. Comfortable beds. We had an incredible stateroom host who is Kojang. He did everything just perfectly. I kind of took that for granted. And then the WhatsApp was informative on that not everyone was happy with either stateroom hosts or servers or different things on the cruise. Kind of had to tune that out a little bit. I was like, if you wanted to find fault with things, you probably can. But for us, that was all really seamless.
Mm-hmm. Good.
Really good.
Off to a good start.
Off to a great start. Went to the Hollywood Spotlight Club, which is their old Hollywood-themed restaurant. It's for lunch. And that's a concierge menu there. All the stuff, it would have been so nice to know ahead of time because we didn't know we just thought, oh yeah, they've told us to go there for lunch. We'll go there for lunch. We didn't think anything of it, but that was a special menu, really, really nice food. Like I had a lobster tail salad and these little dill prawns to start. We all had just really lovely, the boys had pasta and burgers. Drinks were complimentary, alcoholic drinks were complimentary. So I had a glass of champagne there. It was great. Oh, and we went to the concierge lounge as well to check that out, just to see that. And that, again, amazing host up there. I have to shout out for Sandeep, who really changed the course of the cruise incredibly for me because he had just all that intel that I needed. He was like, he couldn't say it for sure, but he's like, I think Mickey might come here later and I think it might be this. He didn't want to say it in case, because I think things can change last minute.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he said for the Iron Cycle, I said, are there any tips you've got for booking Iron Cycle test run or characters? And he said, try at 12 p.m. tomorrow. So there was no Iron Cycle running on the first night, the first day of the cruise. We found out it only runs from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. And you have to try and get a booking and they sell out really quickly. So
it only runs from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m., but you said he told you to be there at noon. Is that?
No, go on the app at noon.
Oh, to reserve?
To reserve that. Okay. There's no info. So you go on it, it doesn't even show up. So I was like, why book it? And he said, oh no, it won't show up till 12. It just appears. You click on it then and you try and book it. But the app was full of people saying, couldn't get it, back-to-back cruises, couldn't get it the last one. So I was thinking I really wanted to do it, but I wasn't sure it was going to happen. But yeah, so Sandeep, just a lovely kind of host up there who showed us around and gave us all those tips that definitely helped understand things and understand what we needed to do and when. So that's great. But again, if they probably could give everyone, not just concierge guests, but everyone just a little bit more info on that, which would help so that you're not kind of feeling a bit panicked. There was someone on the messages who was saying, I've just had a fight with my husband because he's like, why are you on the app the whole time? You're just trying to book stuff. You're like nonstop. And it's like, yeah, I could see how that can happen. You just get obsessed because randomly you'll see a character meet and greet but then it disappears. And so you just feel like you've got to be checking it the whole time.
Wow.
Yeah, which you don't really want to do on a cruise. And I thought the characters were just roaming free. And I did see that there was some bookings for some of the restaurants and some of the characters. There were no bookings for restaurants that you needed, but yeah, the characters you had to book, and the Iron Cycle test run you had to book. And it turned out that was, not the easiest thing.
I'm surprised the concierge didn't get some kind of perks with that, like preferential booking.
No. And again, he was like, I wish I could book it for you. He said, but I can see the same when I go onto the thing. It's the same as you. It's going to say, I have to get on at a certain time and really try hard to book things. So the characters, I guess, I really wanted to see Baymax and Captain Mickey. So when I really thought about it, I was like, well, all of the others we have met before. It would be so nice to see them. We love characters, but Aladdin I had never met before. Spoiler alert, still haven't. But and the princesses we would have really liked to meet as well. So I still really wanted to get the character meet and greets. But by, I think, about lunchtime the next day, I was also getting to that point where it's like, I just can't sit refreshing this app all the time. I need to actually get on with my holiday and relax a little bit. Okay, so after lunch, we went to the Oceaneers Club and we registered the two younger ones who are 10 and 8 in there. That is cool. Very, very cool space. They loved the design your own roller coaster section where you could kind of go and put different pieces together and decide. I don't know if that's on all of the ships or maybe the Wish class ones. But yeah, they sat in their little roller coaster car and rode the whole virtual roller coaster. So that was really fun. It turned out that Lucky actually didn't want to go back there again. I don't know why. I think maybe because it was open house, there were so many people in there at that point that he didn't really understand that there was activities and other things going on. But it was good to see, definitely good to see. And we went to the Edge Club, which is the tween club. And we were able to register Milo, who's 10 but nearly 11. We signed a little waiver for him saying it was okay. We understood that he wasn't 11 yet, but he could come and go from there. And as it turned out, the boys loved Edge Club. They made friends in there. They entered the ping pong tournament that night. They were really keen to come back for the 7:15 ping pong or table tennis. I don't know what you say.
Either one.
Either one. So that was great. So we registered there, went back up by this point to the room for a bit, concierge club. We tried to work out the internet. I don't understand, and maybe you have some advice on this. Why don't they include internet or have an internet as part of a package or something? The internet was really, it may have just been the adventure, but we got 24 hours complimentary internet as part of the concierge package, but it was pretty glitchy, and trying to work it out for each kid's device and registering everyone, trying to log on, do all that just seems quite tricky. And then the next day, I think we had to pay $66 per device to do the rest of the cruise. And again, go through that whole process again. We decided not to register the kids. Well, that's sorry. We probably need one or two that are connected so that we can kind of function with any work or things that come through, but work emails, but not the kids. So again, it wasn't a problem because there was so much to do, but sometimes just having Wi-Fi to do things in your room and have some downtime is quite handy.
Yeah, I don't know how it works on the adventure, but I do have a video and article about how it works on all the other ships. So it's not cheap, I can tell you that.
No, and maybe even if you just factored that into the cost of the cruise, but then once you got on, it was easy to set up, would be better. But anyway, we went up to the concierge lounge. We had a drink up there from 5 to 8. There was complimentary drinks up there. The boys had a soft drink, and they had really nice like Pommery champagne. It was quite fancy up there. So had a glass of champagne, then we went down to dinner, and dinner on the first night was the animators table. that was, I guess, there's animators table and animators palette. So I think in the pre-trip I was saying there's sort of 3 rotations, but there's 2 restaurants on each rotation. So it depends which one you get, and whichever one you don't get, that's pretty much it probably for that restaurant for you. So there was, on that first night, animators palette we didn't get to go to. They did have learn to draw classes in there, so we could have gone to do that, but as it turned out, we never made it. We were too busy to get to a learn to draw. But that was amazing. Really cool to do your animated figure and have it go off. I'm assuming it's same on other ships where, they do a dance and you're suddenly in a little Disney clip. Really, really cool. The boys, meanwhile, after that, they were in a hurry to get down for their 7:15 ping pong tournament in Edge, in Tween Club. So the 2 older ones took off after dinner, and we were done. We were totally done by just after 7, which was pretty good timing.
Yeah, that's early.
Yeah. It was quick, that one. Not so much the next 2 nights, but that one in particular was really quick. Me and my husband Sanj and Lucky, the little one, went down to the D Lounge, where is a little kind of internal bar. And do they have that on other ships as well? I'm saying all this like it's just the Adventure, but I'm sure some of these things are in common with other ships. And had a family dance party, and very high energy, really fun. And I think that's the thing about Disney and the Disney cruises is you can just be silly and dance like no one's watching, no one knows you. It was just, everyone was just having a really, really great time. The hosts were really high energy there and teaching different dance moves and things. So we all really liked that. Went back to the room, and Milo and Teddy walk in, and Milo is triumphantly holding his ping pong champion certificate. He's won the Edge ping pong tournament, which on a ship that is largely sort of Chinese and South Asian passengers was actually, he was pretty proud of himself. He was like, oh, maybe I've actually got some talent here. So that was super fun. Oh, in that time in the concierge lounge, so after the dance party, we did go up to the concierge lounge because Captain Mickey was meant to be appearing there. Well, he was there. So we went to get in line for Captain Mickey, and his assistant said, "I'm so sorry, but the line is closed now." Mickey had to go. So that was a bit of a bummer, but we thought it doesn't matter. That's still just the first night of our cruise. We've got plenty of time to meet Captain Mickey, and went down to bed.
Okay. That was a very eventful first day.
Yeah.
Off to a good start on that one. Okay. So the next day was Friday, April 10th, your first full day on the ship.
Yes. We slept well. There was no waves or anything, any rockiness. Oh, I didn't say actually yesterday we did do the sail away party.
Okay.
And as I mentioned, it's on like 3 or 4 times in the afternoon, and we don't sail away on any of those ones.
Yes.
But they sing the Let's Set Sail song. That was, again, this garden stage in the middle, pretty crowded, but that was, I think we did the 2:45 p.m. They were on every hour. But at some point, we set sail.
Yes, it's a figurative sail away, not a literal sail away.
Not a literal sail away. Yes, so back to the morning, the Friday morning. So Pixar Market Cafe. So if there's Pixar Market and there's Enchanted Summer. Enchanted Summer is Frozen and Rapunzel themed. So I can see the appeal from that respect. But in the middle of the ship on level 6, indoors, all enclosed, and kind of there was a walkway through it, really, really busy and crowded. Whenever we went there around about the morning, there were queues. So that definitely seemed quite hectic. If you didn't have massive Frozen and Rapunzel fans, I definitely wouldn't do it. Meanwhile, the Pixar Market had different sections themed to different Pixar movies, and just animation cells and memorabilia and different things on the walls, but very quiet. We were there at 7:30 to 8 usually, in between that time. By the time we got to breakfast, no problem with crowds at all. And I think that's the thing. On a ship that's got 6,000 guests, and I think 6.5 on this sailing, someone said, and 2,000 staff. Just being able to find those quiet areas, I think, was really kind of vital to enjoying your cruise. And maybe some of the reviews coming out that complain about the crowds, it's a lot about timing and planning. But for us, it was easy to get up early. We weren't going to bed at 1 a.m. or anything that would make it hard. We were going to bed kind of more about 9:30. We sat in the cars area because that was Teddy's favourite movie for many, many years. We love Lightning McQueen. And just, really nice food. The food at every single place on the ship was so good. And a lot of like Indian food, Asian style food, but also lots of Western food, prawns, really, really good food. So the breakfast was great. Mickey waffles, all the things that got the kids super excited. Then after that, that was on level 17 Pixar Market. And the other thing about it is it's just like floor to ceiling windows and looking out at the ocean. And really, because it was a cruise to nowhere and you were just out at sea the whole time, it was so beautiful, just so calm out there. There was one point, I think it was on the Saturday, where the water was just glass. There was not even a tiny ripple of a wave. So just really pretty. I would highly recommend going up there instead of doing the indoor restaurant downstairs.
Mm-hmm.
We went up to the Marvel Landing area where the Iron Cycle test run is. Obviously, this is too early to have got our 12 o'clock kind of when the bookings open, but we just had a bit of a look at it. We went on the PIMS test races, it's kind of like a very tiny Autopia or, Disneyland Speedway. That was probably missable. I think I didn't go on it, but the boys were kind of like, nah, it's good that they have something like that, but not terribly.
I think it's amazing that it's on a ship, but
yeah. I guess we went for a swim in the concierge pool, and then I went down to save a spot for me and Teddy at the Duffy and the Friendship show, and the others decided to stay up and got at the concierge pool. That was good. It kind of, I guess, Duffy and Friends more aimed at preschoolers, but it's still nice to see all the characters on the stage. Worth doing. That was only on the Friday. Again, things that you don't know that probably would be useful to know is that see everything when it's scheduled. Don't assume, I could see that on another day or anything. If it's on maybe 3 times on that day, and then it just wasn't on again for the rest of the sailing.
At what point did you know that?
Well, because I sort of really took it upon myself to be doing my research for this, I just thought, okay, the Duffy and the Friendship show is on at 9:45 on Friday. Because, I woke up in the morning. Also, you didn't get the schedule until the morning. There was nothing the night before.
Okay, so
of the daily schedule, the daily activities.
The way it typically works for Disney cruise ship is as soon as you board and you're connected to the Wi-Fi, you get the schedule for the whole cruise. So you're saying in your case, it was daily.
Daily.
So
day by day.
So how would you know that this Duffy show was only going to be able to be available on this Friday, or did you just know that in hindsight?
You know it in hindsight.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's unfortunate because if every day was available, you could say, okay, the Duffy show is only available one day, so let's just make sure we make it there.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. It was on like 3 times that day. So why would you think it wouldn't be on 3 times every day? Mm-hmm. It seemed like it was in plentiful supply. And I think I told you I did try because I read your tips about cruising. And if you're concierge, you can email ahead and get your schedule like in advance. But when I did do that email, I got a very nice reply saying, no, we're not doing that for this ship. So there was nothing until that morning. So that's okay. I scheduled Duffy and the Friendship show at 9:45. And after that, I was like, okay, I'll text Sanj and get him and the others to meet us at the Moana show, which was on at 10:30. So I'm just lucky that I guess I just wanted to make sure I saw it all, and I thought, no time like the present to go see it. Moana show was amazing. It was only 15 minutes, but the dancers and performers and that kind of like semi-puppetry, it was really, really good. And that was in the pool. So they did that thing where they're kind of dancing in and out of the water. That was really, really good. Everything was pretty busy. You really had to get there a good 15 to 30 minutes beforehand, which I did. I kind of knew it was going to be that way. But if you thought, oh, it's starting at 10:15, I'll get there at 10:15, it wouldn't have been so successful. At that point, the boys went off because, again, there was another ping pong tournament at 10:30 at Edge. So it ended up being just me, Sanj, and Lucky watching the Moana show, and they went off to play ping pong again. Again, I did not think they would go anywhere near any kind of kids club, even a tween club, but they were having a great time in there. And at 12 p.m, we organised to meet everyone for trivia. The only problem with that is at some point we crossed into Indonesian time. So all of our automatic phones and watches, etc., suddenly went back an hour. So I realized this, and I guess I was kind of aware of what time it was. I realized it and immediately put my phone back onto Singapore time, which was the ship's time. But unfortunately, Teddy, my eldest, his watch was synced with my husband's iPad, and he ended up missing trivia because I was like, where is he? He really wanted to do this. He just didn't turn up. But anyway, so trivia was 12 p.m. in Tiana's Bayou Lounge. Obviously at 12 p.m, I knew that Iron Cycle was opening. So just literally as Ashley, the host, was starting the trivia and opening and doing her introduction, I was on my phone and I got it. I got Iron Cycle for 4 p.m. for that afternoon.
And
so
that's for everybody, the whole...
For everybody, but I only booked it. You can just choose who you're booking it for. Lucky said he didn't want to do it. He's 8. He normally loves roller coasters, but whatever reason, he looked at it and he said no. And I saw that it didn't have over-the-shoulder kind of harnesses. I thought, I don't know if I want to put an 8-year-old on that, actually. So, and my husband won't do roller coasters. Yeah, he would do Dumbo and put his hands in the air and enjoy that. So, he's a bit of a saint, really, when he goes to so many Disney parks, but actually won't go. He won't even go on Big Thunder. That's too much for him. But that's fine. So, I booked for 3 of us. But it just felt like I could just relax then. I was like, okay, we've got the Iron Cycle. That's going to be great.
But are there, because you were talking about having to book characters and things, so are you also trying to book characters, or are you just kind of not worried about that?
Trying nonstop to book characters and nothing. Okay. And when you do see something, and I wouldn't even look at who it was, I just see that there was a kind of, it was either kind of sort of grayscale kind of out, or it was in color. So as soon as I saw a color, I just press it, try and book it, and then it would say, sorry, it's gone. Like, I don't know if you had the thing of booking Taylor Swift tickets or whatever, where you get on and you're like, oh my God, here it is. And then by the time you've confirmed your seats, they've disappeared. So it was really tricky. So I started to think, I don't think we're going to actually see any characters at all.
That's so unfortunate.
Well, characters are kind of a thing, that really makes it a Disney cruise. So, and just, again, I don't want to be on the app. And I know there's lots of talk with the parks about you don't want to be on your phone all the time, and you don't want your phone to run out of battery as well, because you're constantly refreshing and trying to change things. So, that was a bit of a bummer. But at least at this point, I was happy I got Iron Cycle, and I still thought I had 3 days to see Captain Mickey and Baymax and maybe some other characters. So I wasn't really panicked at this point. Trivia on a Disney cruise is definitely eye-opening in terms of really a humbling experience. I thought that I was a Disney adult, but no, I am not. I am really, the first one. Have you won, Shannon? Have you won Disney?
I have, but only once, and I've been on a lot of cruises. I won once by myself in December, and it was Disney Parks trivia. But the problem is that and I didn't memorize all the questions or anything, but a lot of people do memorize them, and also sometimes people cheat.
Well, there was no asking to put your phone down or anything like that. So that definitely, it was so the first one was Disney songs, and I was like, no problem. They were going to play a snippet of a song, and you had to say the song and what movie it came from. But it's a snippet of just instrumental music that has there's just nothing. So, however, So there were 2 tables. One had a lot of people who I think had just met, but had met obviously through different crews, Facebook and WhatsApp, but they were all like, they were next level, incredible. And another table, yeah. But so basically we got 18 out of about 35 on this. There were some that just had a single point answer instead of 2. And like the winners basically got a full score, and impossible. But yes, maybe there was something underhand going on. I don't know.
Sometimes I don't believe it. I'm like, there is no way you got all those.
No, wait, that there's this tiny bit of instrumental music and they know that it's the such and such song from Brother Bear. The movies were so random too. They weren't like, oh, these are the popular songs. They were definitely back catalogue. So yeah, that was pretty humbling. We definitely did not do that well there. So the boys turned out had 1 ping pong again. Milo had 1 again.
Yeah.
So he's now up to 2 ping pong championships.
Somebody's bringing home the wins. Ping pong. Right. And had they played ping pong before this trip?
Yeah, but they play at school sometimes. But yeah, we didn't think they were necessarily that good, but they didn't think they were that good, so they were thrilled.
It's quite a good workout. Like they must have been wearing themselves out.
Yeah. So 2 p.m. I think we had some lunch after that. We went up to Pixar Market. Again, we did not need. Oh, actually, no. We had lunch up at the concierge lounge. We did not need to eat as much as we ate on this cruise. Oh my goodness! It's like you're not really hungry, but someone's hungry, so you all go to lunch and then you all end up eating since the food is there. The concierge lunch was really, really nice. We went back into the lounge and we met Princess Jasmine. So that was really nice.
The concierge lounge. Okay, so concierge lounge was a way to meet characters without having to worry about crowds or reservations.
Except there were about 5 different ones on the first day, 2 on the Saturday, and then like 3, I think so. That Friday there were quite a few, but it was the same character repeating a few times. So so Sandeep, my friend up in the concierge lounge, again, he was like, please don't hold me to it. This is the time I think characters are coming. I don't know who it is, and so I'd written things down from him. So we did think it was Jasmine or Aladdin. We got Jasmine. She was lovely. The whole concierge lounge is themed to Aladdin, so it was kind of fitting that Aladdin and Jasmine would meet up there. And yeah, that was then I dragged Teddy downstairs to do a selfie at sea. So again, by this point, I'm thinking I'm not actually going to get to meet that many characters, but Jack Sparrow was doing selfies at sea. Now I don't know if this is on other ships. This is kind of a lame character meet and greet where they stand on the stage and kind of wander back and forth in character, waving at you as you take photos of them or take a selfie. But we're about 6 or 8 people deep of everyone trying to do that.
Do you know what it reminds me of is social distancing when things reopen.
The characters were all kind of back there, except that we're all in the crowd. They're the one who's distanced from us. So we did that.
Right. You're not socially distanced from each other. Just the characters.
No, just the characters. And he was great. And the characters looked incredible. Like there were no second-rate characters. They were all, the costumes and everything was just amazing. But getting ready by this point for our iron cycle. So we went back to the room and chilled out. We probably had no more than an hour chilling out in the room at any point of the trip. Like if we went back there, it's to put stuff down or get changed out of bathers or whatever. But went up to our iron cycle, got there 15 minutes early for our 4 o'clock iron cycle. And it wasn't doing any test runs, which was the first sign that maybe things were not going to go smoothly. Then the lady working there, and again, a wonderful cast member under very trying circumstances. Her name was Frankie. I think she was South African. She said, you know what, I reckon come back in about 15 minutes. I don't think anything's going to happen for the next 15 minutes. Just come back in 15 minutes. So we did, and there's just engineers everywhere. There's people coming, like staff members coming in and out, walking up to the roller coaster, walking back down, some with laptops, talking on walkie-talkies. I thought, oh, this is definitely not looking good. at 4:30, they said, okay, everyone with it. And people are arriving every 15 minutes because the ride times that you got were between 4:15, 4:30. So people are coming back, starting there. So there's this bigger and bigger crowd. So she said, I think come back at 5. And I saw on the WhatsApp messages, someone had said, the word is it's not going to run today at all, but everyone with bookings today will now have their booking transferred to tomorrow. So at 5:00, Frankie confirmed. She said, yes, what I've been told is that you have a booking, but it will not run today. Seatbelt issue, someone had said. I don't really want to go on it without a seatbelt, so that's okay. But disappointing. Just, yeah.
I'm just thinking about the logistics of getting rides back up on a ship. There's no one new to call. Everyone that's on the ship is on the ship. Like, I don't know. It just seems difficult to manage.
Yeah, there were a lot of people, and it doesn't make you feel great about it's quite a precarious looking ride anyway. We couldn't see the ride vehicles going around, but at that point there were no ride vehicles going around. But in general, the track is kind of all over the place and going very close to the edge of the ship. So it's not a great sign when also there's kind of 5 engineers and 10 other staff all standing around trying to make it work. I wasn't necessarily that worried. But anyway, we got our booking in the app changed to 2 p.m. on the Saturday. And
but you said 2 p.m. because previously it was only 4. So
4 till 8. Yeah. So they moved all of us to between 2 and 4, all of us from that first day, so that they could open it for another whole day of guests the next day.
Okay.
Which doesn't really work with the maths, getting 4 hours of people into 2 hours. So I don't know. I did hear later in the journey, not to jump too far ahead, but the roller coaster did go back up, and I did hear that the waits were in excess of an hour, which is on the top deck. There's a bit of shade there, but a lot in the sun, so it's quite tricky.
It's just that you have to be on the app, get the reservation, and then the ride is down,
and queue,
and then you queue up. That's a lot.
Yeah. The whole top deck, because this could be in the Caribbean as well, or anywhere really that's sunny. It's pretty full sun and pretty hot up there. Like there's a beautiful deck in the morning before the sun's really risen properly. It's just gorgeous. The furniture was amazing. Like, I guess it's all brand new, but seemed like a really high quality, really nice concierge lounge, especially. They had beautiful lounges and things up there. But you can't kind of sit in it for most of the day because it's so hot, and the sun doesn't really go down till 7 p.m. So that's just, I guess, something. I mean, you can't cover up the whole top deck. You've got to have an outdoor area. But it definitely was a shame that there was a lot of area you couldn't really use because it was just too hot.
Yeah, and like I'm thinking about like it's a cruise to nowhere, so is the climate is the same throughout.
Yes. Yeah, you're literally doing donuts. You're just going around in the South China Sea.
I want to see that. I want somebody to turn their tracking on, and I want like a map.
Yeah. Well, I've actually got a photo of it, so I can.
Okay,
someone did that and posted on the WhatsApp. I can send that to you.
Because, like, for instance, on Caribbean cruises, it can be warm the whole time, but sometimes, depending on the time of year, it can vary a lot.
Yeah. No, this was hot. I mean, we had that one day, that first day at the zoo, that it rains a whole day. I'm glad we didn't have that, but it didn't affect us much at all. It just meant that there was large areas of the ship that you just didn't want to hang out in at the top there for too long. But we went to Concierge Club pool. Well, I think by that time it was 5:00. We had a drink up the Concierge Club, and then went down to our rotational dining, which on this night was Enchanted Summer Restaurant, which is that one I explained for breakfast was right in the middle. We're on the Maximus side, the Rapunzel side. It was okay. It was definitely took a lot longer this night, and it seemed like the servers were all in a bit of chaos. Not our servers so much. We had 2 really lovely servers. One was from the Philippines, Winsett, she was awesome, and Eka was from Bali in Indonesia. And they've been on the ship since January training, which is really interesting. So they flew to Florida and then have been with the ship since then. sailing back and getting ready before the first guest boarded. So the training was great.
Did they come from other Disney cruise ships? Do you know?
I think no, but Winsett had been working on cruises for 20 years.
Mhm.
So yeah, they were good, but the servers in general, it was like they were going to this sort of spot trying to like get all the food. It just seemed a bit chaotic. So that probably took about 2 hours, maybe 1.5 to 2 hours. The kids ran off at one point, which was fine, and we finished. But yeah, we learned then, like, even though it's a sort of a 2-course or 3-course menu, like not to bother with the entrees or to ask for them to come at the same time, just so you're not like, if the kids have their meal and we have an entree, then we're waiting for the main, then we're waiting for desserts to come out. And again, you're just not that hungry because you're eating all day long. Like it's really hard to have too big an appetite by 5:45 for the early dinner. So the boys went to Edge after dinner. Me and Sanj and Lucky went to the family game show night. It was okay. It was a little bit lame. And yeah, probably by about 8:30, we were all ready for bed. So that was the end of day 6.
So that's the second night. I didn't hear anything about a stage show. So were those being offered?
Oh, no. So that's the second night. So we'd done the Duffy and the Friendship and Moana that day. The main show, so there's the Avengers Assemble show, which again had not appeared on the program to this point, but I'd seen in my research and videos about it. But at this point, that hadn't appeared by the end of I think we're on Friday, aren't we? Yeah.
Yes.
And we had a booking. When we first boarded the ship, we had our rotational dining and a booking for the Remember show, but that was for 2 p.m. on the Sunday.
Okay, so that appeared beforehand in the app.
Yes, and that's an allocated time. So you get given a time for that one. It doesn't appear on the daily activities.
Okay, so interesting.
Yeah, you're pre-booked. Okay, so day 6, Cars section of Pixar Market again. We did eventually branch out to Coco and Inside Out, but at this point we stayed in the Cars section. It was really quiet, had beautiful views, so that was great. And this is the day that the water was just glass. It was honestly like just going through silk. It was amazing, just really pretty. At 9:45 a.m., I can't remember what we did in the morning, hung up, but at 9:45 we had the Baymax Super Exercise Expo, which is Baymax and Hero running an group exercise class, doing moves from the different heroes in the movie. And again, just silly fun. And all the cast members, just high energy. We had like plenty of space. The 9:45 shows were pretty quiet because I think people who were up late were at breakfast at that point. I think there was a really busy time for breakfast, but in terms of the rest of the ship, it was a nice quiet time there.
So this was for the whole family?
The whole family, yep. So it's like, yeah, the first move is wasabi, wasabi, wasabi. Like just fun, silly stuff. And again, no one knows you. You can dance, you can do all that crazy stuff, but it was good fun. Went for a swim, and then at 11:15 a.m. we decided to go back to trivia because we actually really enjoyed the trivia, even though we got completely humbled there. It was really good fun. So we went back to that. Once again, I think we did even worse. This one was just general knowledge, general Disney knowledge. It could be about anything. Yep, we did. I think again we got like maybe a 20 out of 40. Just not good at all. We did selfies at sea with Donald and Daisy, but not for very long. That again was not too good. They had lunch at the Pixar Market again as a buffet lunch. And it was really nice. They had sort of prawns and things. There was someone on the WhatsApp saying, oh, on Royal Caribbean, you get lobsters and stuff. It's like, it wasn't really the vibe of the place to have a fancy buffet, but the food was good and a lot of variety, like heaps and heaps of different selections on that. So that was good. Water slides in that time, again, we just kind of kept an eye out, and the entrance to the at the top of the water slides, there was the entrance to the concierge pools. If you had your card. So we could kind of, if we were up in the concierge lounge, just peek around the corner and see. And so when the slide queues were low, which again around that lunchtime, we could go on those. So we got to go on the slides as many times as we wanted to, really. There was no problem with it, even though the advice I had in the beginning was that it can be busy. Again, if you pick your times on the ship and try and coordinate things outside the main time, it was fine. Iron Cycle. Up there at 2 p.m.
I was waiting.
Yeah. And as we got there, we see a vehicle going around. So I was like, okay, this might happen. Again, there was a bit of a delay, but we were told it was working, that they were just going to do 3 test runs of it, and then we'd get to go up. So we were the 6th ride vehicle to board. So 3 go at a time, 1 and then 2 and then 3, with just a little, probably like a 10-second gap between them. So we were on the second kind of branch of those. Teddy went with this other really nice dad who was in a group of 3 as well, and he let Teddy sit on the front. So the front person controls the speed for the second lap. You do 2 laps. The first lap, it's taking you, and the second one, you can like rev like a motorcycle and go as fast as you want. So that was very kind of that gentleman to let Teddy take.
Yes, I'm dying to know what did he choose to do on his second lap?
Yeah, he actually he revved up for a bit and then he just freaked out. It goes a lot faster than it looks. So it looks like it's pretty slow, but I thought it would still be scary because you're on the edge of the ship. Mm-hmm. But it was probably the most scared I've been on a roller coaster, because it didn't have the over-the-shoulder harness. It just had a lap seatbelt. Mm-hmm. And you're holding on like a motorcycle, kind of out, like a Tron, but you're not strapped in at all or held in at all. Mm-hmm. And it went fast. And the track was, and we'd just seen it didn't work the whole day before, and 10 engineers are trying to fix it. And then it was rickety, like really rickety, like you're all over the place and trying to hold yourself still. So it was great, but it felt scary. But of course, I had Milo in front of me who just revved it up. And I was even saying to him as we were finishing that first lap, I was like, Milo, I don't think we can go any faster. I think just stay at this. I don't think we can do it. And it just shoots you through, to the point you get a bit of a G-force like back. That's how fast that initial rocket magnet launch or whatever goes. So yeah, I proceed with caution. It's so good and amazing, but definitely it's not tame. It's not as tame as I assumed it would be.
Definitely sounds like a thriller.
Yeah. But great. So I'm glad we got to do that. After that, I said to Sanj, let's go down to Spellbound, which is the Snow White Evil Queen themed bar. And that just had really cool theming in there, like you're in the Snow White's forest. I had I think it was called the Evil Queen cocktail, which had a glow cube that has, when it goes in the water, smoke comes out of it, or kind of mist. Mm-hmm. So that was fun. I've sent a video of that. And delicious, really like nice drinks. He had something else like True Love's Kiss or something. Yeah, he had a really good cocktail as well. So that was nice just to do something different and see a themed bar. We never got to the Buccaneers bar, which is another kind of the pirate themed one. And then the Marvel style studio where they dressed kids up as Marvel characters during the day turned into a speakeasy at night. We never actually got there either. But then concierge lounge, 5 p.m. up there for our kind of end of day sunset drink. And we were back at the Hollywood Spotlight Club for dinner on this particular night. That was great. That is dinner and a show. If it's not the Spotlight Club, it's the Navigators Club. So because we got the Spotlight Club, we didn't get to do the Navigators, but they both have a show, different shows. This one had, hang on, I did forget something. I did forget on the first night at 8:30 p.m., we had Disney Sees the Adventure show.
Right.
Sorry about that. We did.
What did you think of that show? Since you're new to this.
Great. Amazing. And you've just reminded me, because Tiana, who in the Disney Sees the Adventure show, her voice was amazing. All the performers were really, really good, but her voice is like, wow, she's just absolute star. And she was singing a piano at the Hollywood Spotlight Club as well. So it was beautiful. Mickey, Minnie, Donald, Daisy came out. They didn't do kind of like a character meal where they come around to your table and pose for photos. They walked around every table and high-fived and kind of waved, but they didn't stop at the tables. And again, a little bit of chaos with the servers, and it's big, like trying to get it felt like maybe that restaurant and Enchanted Summer weren't working that smoothly in general. However, our servers were great. Our food was always exactly what we ordered. Like, it was all good. But yeah, it was quite late by the time we finished there. And then on the Saturday night so during the day, I'd seen the Avengers Assemble show. It was on at 6:15, which obviously didn't work for our dining rotation, and then at 8:45. So Lucky was too tired by that point. Like, they got up at sort of 6 every morning. By that time, he was too tired. I went down at 8:15. I think it was about 10 past 8, and I said, okay, I'm going to go down and get a spot for the Avengers show, and I'll text Sanj when Sanj was okay missing it. He was like, I'm okay staying up here with Lucky. So I said, I'll text when it's getting crowded and send the boys down. So I got down there at 8:15, and I already had missed pretty much all the seated area. There's not much, but it was almost all gone. So again, if you're not a Disney planner and you think you can just rock up on time, you would be either so far back or they started turning people away. And again, you don't know whether it's going to be on the next day or not at this point. But so that was good that I got there. And so I just texted straight away saying, send the boys down. And I kind of got them sitting on the edge of the garden so they could sit, which was good. But I stood from 8:15 till 9:15 when it ended. It was a great show. Really amazing, amazing show. Very funny. Great effects. Like, there's no kind of expense spared with all the pyrotechnics, like bits that you didn't need to have sparks flying and stuff. Like, it was super, super well done.
So worth the effort.
Worth the effort for sure. But then after that, we kind of the three of us walked around the ship a little bit, but we went to bed probably about 9:30 on that night. So not long after the show finished. This half-hour show. Mm-hmm. It turned out that the next day, Avengers Assemble was on again. So that was the only show that repeated on a different day. So I think maybe that's because they had a capacity thing. Mm-hmm. With 6,000 or 6,500 people, this space was not big enough for even 3,000. So I can see that it's a bit of a problem. So they have to do stuff like that. But if you knew in advance or you had that booked, it probably would have been better.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm thinking. If you know in advance that, I've got 2 days that I can go see the show, I feel like the crowds would be spread out more. But if you think only today, then everyone's going to rush to the first, showing.
Yeah. Yep. And they've, I guess, divided it in half with the dinner bookings. But yeah, some people, I guess, could miss their rotational dining to see it. It was good seeing the 8:45 show because it was dark. Mm-hmm. So that added an extra element with all the pyrotechnics and stuff, which was good.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So that was the end of Saturday.
Yes.
Okay. You had one more full day on the ship, Sunday, April 12th.
Full day. Yeah. We went to the cocoa section this time.
Changing it up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, kind of. And then we went down to San Francisco. Again, this breakfast time because we had an early-ish breakfast, we got a quiet restaurant. And then San Francisco Street was really quiet. So they have this area called Heroes Training Academy, and it's really cool. It's this interactive video game, a little bit like if you've seen the Beast Games show where things like you're on a floor that lights up in a certain pattern and then it disappears and you've got to remember the pattern and try and get across. So the boys really loved that. It's unfortunately only a 4-player game, so I just watched and filmed them do it. But there's 3 different games they played. The kind of just based on video games, but you're jumping on the different things. It gives you instructions and it's training you for Big Hero 6 to be the newest hero. That was really cool, really interactive. Went back to the water slides after that and rode on those again. And then, sorry, I'm just going back to my notes. Then the boys, I think, went off to Edge again. I think this was the only... So on the Saturday night, there was a ping pong tournament, but it was on at 11 p.m. So they couldn't go to that one. I was like, no. And they kept saying, we're just going to wake up. We're going to wake up at 11 p.m. and go. I was like, no, leave the ping pong. They just felt like they just now had this duty to be at every single challenge that was on.
They had a
But
championship to defend.
exactly, exactly.
Mhm.
But yeah, so they went off to ping pong that next morning, and Sanj and Lucky and I went to the concierge lounge to meet Donald. So I had been given the kind of schedule of things, and I found out that Donald was going to be there. Then there was another one. I think it was might have been the night before that. There was one where Captain Mickey was there, and then I think it was maybe that Saturday afternoon that I thought Captain Mickey was gonna be there again, but actually it was Princess Jasmine again, so we'd already seen her, so
No
that was
Aladdin for
my
you.
second. No Aladdin and no Captain Mickey. Yeah,
Mhm.
I had been kind of foiled for the second time on Captain Mickey. So again, just enjoying the ship, walking around. Eventually, we went to trivia again. Again, we enjoyed it, even though we sucked at 12. And by the time that trivia finished, we were getting close to our 2 p.m. Remember show. So with the concierge, you got priority seating for the theatre. So everyone's booked on this show, obviously. So it's not trying to compete with the whole ship for this. It's just people have been given bookings. But if you were concierge, you could get there at 40 minutes before the showtime and get a special concierge seating area and a free popcorn they gave you as you walked in. So we did that. It was kind of early, but literally we had to run straight from trivia. I think maybe trivia was 12:45. So yes, had to run straight from trivia to the theatre
Mhm.
and waited around there for a while. But that show, remember, again, like it would be it could be on Broadway. It was incredible. Just, it was Wally, and he's so cute. Like, it kind of things that I had forgotten, Wally and Eve and this love story of theirs. And then Eve kind of gets powered down and Wally gets all sad, and but it goes through different songs from various movies. And yeah, the performers were so, so good. So
Mhm.
that was an hour-long show. So that finished at 3, and then we just kinda had this panic, like, "Oh my gosh, we're leaving tomorrow." Like,
Mhm.
we had all the gratuities kind of stuff in our room to sort out, and, people were checking their folios and things. We could do that on the app, but just any souvenir shopping that we'd forgotten. Now, things were selling out on the ship, like quite a few. So we saw these Baymax plushes on the first day, and Milo was like, "Oh, I love Baymax." I was like, "Yeah, we should come back and look at that later." They were gone. They were all gone. On the chat, there was lots of talk about key rings and various things that had disappeared during the time of the ship. So they obviously couldn't restock when they're out to sea. But if you see something that you like, you've got to get it at the time, definitely
Mhm.
on this ship. Sure. So then after this, we did a bit of souvenir shopping. We didn't actually end up getting very much, but in the shop, I got a Captain Mickey fridge magnet and a Captain Mickey Christmas decoration because I was like, "Oh, well, it looks like I'm not gonna meet Captain Mickey on the ship." I knew that Donald and Goofy were gonna be that night in the concierge lounge, which, again, happy to go see them, but it's like, "Oh, I've missed my chance," which is kind of a bummer. Oh, we ended up getting a Baymax character meet and greet, but it ended up being the same time as the Remember show, so
Mhm.
after all of that work to actually get it, we couldn't actually go to see him. Is a 15-minute window, and it was right in the middle of the show. So that was also a bummer. So I knew I hadn't seen Baymax, hadn't seen Captain Mickey at this point. Went up to the concierge lounge and had our sort of final. We had a few photos up there and things. Then for the fourth night, it was back to animators' table, but instead of doing the animation, they just had a normal kind of menu. It was a sort of final see you real soon menu. And the servers, we got to sort of talk to them more and hear more about their story. And that was really interesting to hear about just the way that they've kind of come across around the world and things. Anyway, then the boys ran off for ping pong competition.
One last round.
One last ping pong. And Sanj went up to the room with Lucky, and I was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna go down. I'll watch them play some ping pong because I can see if I can sort of sneak in and say, 'Oh, I'm their mum,' and watch them in Edge." But they were in there and they seemed to be going really well, and they were kind like, yeah, you can go, mum. So I left and just walked around, took some photos in San Francisco Street. Again, it was really quiet down there. Everyone was packing and things in their room. And then this is probably the most magical moment ever, maybe at Disney. I walked outside on deck 7 where San Francisco Street is, and that happens to be where we walked in on the first night. And the sun was almost set. So this is after dinner, but Animator's table, as I said, was a really quick dinner. It was over in an hour. So probably it's about 7:15. And I just walked over to the sort of edge of the ship and was just looking out. It's like, wow, it's just so pretty. And it's been such an amazing trip. There's a tap, tap, tap on my shoulder. And I turned around, Captain Mickey.
And
Just
you were,
like,
and you were all by yourself.
I was on my own, but I just couldn't believe it. I just could not believe. I didn't hear anyone come up behind me. I didn't see any characters or any people around. And whenever there was a character roaming on the ship, there was just trails of people everywhere and really mobbing them as well. So it was like, so anyway, I just started bawling. I was crying. I was so happy and I was trying to tell him. And it was this extended love fest. He was just giving me hugs and doing the little hearts. And it was the most, like I say, the most moving, craziest, like a sim moment of how did that, after really even going into the shop to buy Captain Mickey stuff because I was upset that I hadn't, not, I was just sad that I'd never got to see him.
Mhm.
So the cast member with him was like, "Can I take your photo?" And I mean, I'm literally, there's an ugly cry photo where I'm just like, "Ah." But then there's these photos. I'm just so happy. So happy. And then he takes my hand and takes me back to the side and he's like pointing out to sea. And again, just so many hugs. So by this time, people had started to watch us. So he was like, "I've got it," saying goodbye. And he just walked off. And again, like just going to greet other people, but he was just going for a stroll. And I just couldn't believe it. So I came running up to the room and the boys were making fun of me. The boys, meanwhile, had come back from ping pong with another victory. Teddy had won this time, ping pong. And they're making fun of me. They're like, "Oh, Mum," you're like, "Oh," and then Mickey came and I was crying. And I was just like, yeah, it was incredible.
That's very sweet.
Right. That's where you just go, oh, that kind of magical experience. And yeah, the photos forever to remember that feeling of surprise and happiness is, awesome.
Okay.
But we decided not to pack our suitcases to put them out. The boys have little cabin size and we have quite small suitcases. So we thought we'll just wait for the morning. So yeah, we just went to bed.
You went to bed.
Mhm.
Okay. And the next day was Monday, April 13th, disembarkation.
Yeah, so having never done a Disney cruise before, we really didn't know. There wasn't a huge amount of information on what to do, but we knew we could go to the concierge lounge for breakfast. It does sound, from what I've heard, that a lot of the other breakfast places were heaving with people and suitcases, etc. So we were lucky we had that option. I think in general, the concierge, it was the only room class available when we booked 9 months ahead. However, again, from your podcast, I knew that it's a good one if you can because it gets you the early boarding and some perks that are really useful. On a ship with 6,000 people plus 2,000 staff, it was so good to have a quiet, private area to retreat to, especially a pool that wasn't completely heaving with people. It was really, if you can stretch for it, I would definitely say to people to book the concierge just because of the amount of people on the ship. I feel like that gave us that extra level of enjoyment because we weren't battling crowds. Part was the timing and the planning, but the other part was having that area that we could go to. So going up there for breakfast was great.
Yeah, so I did want to know if the concierge perks were worth it. It sounds like it's the lounge and the pool specifically that you're mentioning
Yes.
that were super helpful to you.
Yeah, definitely. It was well located as well because it was up on the upper decks. Very easy to get up to the lounge, but also the pools and the water slides and all the rides and things from there. We had a great room. We were 16318 and very close to the lifts, not too close to be noisy, but there was no noise. Again, like on the WhatsApp, there are some people who are right underneath the garden stage, and when they're having the dance parties and things, it was possibly not the best environment.
But online, how you can get reviews of specific staterooms. So
Yes.
this being a new ship, I can see those kind of reviews starting to accumulate.
Exactly.
This one's noisy.
And when I was booking it, because we had the mistake with booking, but we ended up getting the exact same room. I was trying to find information, and I couldn't even find things like, do you want to be on starboard or port side? Like, which side is better? I don't think it mattered in the end for this particular ship, but with you've got ocean on either side, really. But yeah, I think that will start to come out. There is actually a Disney travel agent who was on the chat. So he was sort of collecting feedback and different things from people that he was going to use for his guests. But yeah, the room was great. The concierge, it wasn't since we bought a placeholder on the ship for a future cruise. We don't know where we would go yet, but it seemed like a good idea to buy a placeholder and get the 10% discount for a future cruise.
No risk to doing that.
No risk. Yeah, that's right. The deposit comes back if not. But I was looking at different cruises and yeah, what was I going to say? Sorry, I've lost my train of thought on that. Oh yeah, the concierge level on other cruises appears to be way more expensive than it was on this one. So the difference in price for this one was not that big a step up. But yeah, it does look like on various ships it is. I don't know whether it's a capacity thing. So that would probably change our mind. But if we could, we would try and do concierge in future, especially on a really big ship, I think, for that reason.
I typically think of concierge as being double.
Right. Okay. So it definitely wasn't on this one. But, well, maybe if it was, it didn't feel like it was an excessive expense on this one. Yeah.
Okay. So overall, you felt like that was worth it.
Yes, definitely. Definitely and even the lounges were nicer to lie by the pool. There was shade, all those kind of things really made the enjoyment a lot more. So yeah, that was a bit, but we really didn't know what we were doing. We went back to our room and all the stateroom doors are open except for ours and they're in there changing it all over. But at 8 a.m. we got our things and kind of no ceremony really, just walked off the ship and high-fived a lot of people. We did a cruise flight. So as before we went through the security, the final kind of customs, we did the immigration. You drop off your bags, and if you're flying Singapore Airlines, which they do fly from Singapore to, I think, Los Angeles and New York direct. So Singapore Airlines or Qantas, which flies to Australia, you can just check your bags straight in and you get your boarding passes for your flight. So our flight wasn't until 7:30 p.m. that night, but we could immediately check in our suitcases, which was good.
That's very nice.
Yeah, you book that on the Marina Bay Cruise Terminal. There's a link to it and you book it in advance. I think you've got to book it 48 hours in advance, but that was great.
So once you were off the ship, you had some time to kill before flying home.
It was kind of chaos after that because taxis don't seem to be a big thing in Singapore anymore. But so everyone's getting a grab, but literally everyone's getting a grab from the ship. So anyway, it was reasonably well organized, but we kind of probably took about half an hour to get one of those. We got it to the Gardens by the Bay, which is Singapore's kind of big garden area, and we got some lockers there to put our hand luggage in. So that was great. And then they have a cloud forest, which is an indoor dome with this kind of cool rainforest ecosystem, and a flower dome, which again is it's kind of like botanic gardens of the world and different flowers. And they had a Sakura festival for the Japanese cherry blossoms. So we did those. Both of those were stunning, really, really cool. The cloud forest had a Jurassic Park exhibition, so they had dinosaur animatronics popping out. That was great. Walked around the gardens for a bit, went to Marina Bay Sands, which is the big hotel with the 3 towers and the kind of cruise ship, a sort of level at the top. We had some lunch there and then we were a bit tired and it was really hot again. But we went to the Art Science Museum. They have an exhibition there called Team Lab, which is in Japan as well, which kind of has all these, it's very Instagrammable. It's like all these different rooms of using light and kind of projections and things to make different effects. So there was one where all these kind of lasers were forming this kind of circle, and you threw it had a little fan, and you threw a paper aeroplane through and watched it kind of go through all these lasers and colors. It's hard to describe, but things you'd never seen before, but definitely really fun. The boys loved it. And you could draw a little bit like animators table. You could draw a picture and they scanned it, and then like if it was a turtle, it started swimming in the ocean around the wall and things. That was great. Then walked back to Gardens by the Bay, got our stuff out of our locker. I did have a thought that if the locker was not secure and our bags were gone, so were our passports and our way of getting home, but put the code in on the locker and the locker opened and all our stuff was there and got a grab to the airport.
You had an anxiety moment there for a second.
Yeah, when you think maybe that wasn't the smartest thing to split up from my passport with a public locker area. But yes, that turned out. Again, Singapore, things work there. Things really, it's a great city and it's so easy. But yeah, they love to keep to time. Things are efficient. It's a wonderful, we didn't even really scratch the surface of Singapore, but those sort of first few days and that last day, we all really had a great time. It was a great city. So great place as well for the adventure to start from, I think. So there are apparently 1,500 Australians on this particular cruise that we did because it's our school holidays over here. It's our kind of fall, autumn, Easter break. And then it's currently a Thai holiday. And so apparently there were 2,000 Thai nationals on the next cruise. So I think it's drawing a lot from Australia in the school holidays, but obviously drawing from other nearby countries as well when they've got leave and holidays. So I really hope there's some things to iron out, and it would have been great if it was month 5, I think, rather than month 1 of the cruise. But you could find fault with it if you wanted to, but it was fabulous. We had the best time. We really enjoyed it.
I'm so glad. It seems like you had a fun trip you just really packed it with a lot of fun things for your kids, both Disney and non-Disney.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why I think it felt like a lot longer than a week because and again, they're just at that age now, we've been through the hard yards. We said that quite a few times when we're up in the lounge having a drink in the afternoon before dinner. It's like, this is so relaxing, and they can run off and they can explore the ship and they know how to get back to the room and they know where we are. Whereas when they're little, you've got to follow them everywhere. If they want to go for a swim, you've got to get in the pool as well. Like we've been through all that, and now at like 12, 10 and 8, it's just a fun time. We're all having a lot of fun together. So it's good.
I love that so much. I did have a note from the pre-trip to ask you about the total cost.
So I did write that down. The cruise for the concierge level was $9,107. The hotel, so it's somewhere, $1,200 US in total for the Mandai Rainforest. So that was 2 nights there, so $600 US a night. It's expensive to do it the way that we did it. However, as a family of 5, we normally have to get 2 rooms. So that third child really pushes you over into a different costing. So that wasn't too bad. And it was $1,400 US for the treetop suite per night, which was just the 1 night. Hence, I've never done that before because if we're staying for multiple nights, that you wouldn't be able to justify the cost or the novelty factor. But for 1 night, because I'd always wanted to do that, I decided to book that. But yes, it wasn't a cheap week.
No. So the $9,000 that you said the cruise was, that's also US dollars, or is it Australian dollars?
That's US dollars.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But I mean, a lot of people going to Disney World will stay in a value resort and spend $10,000 on a trip. So,
that's what I mean. It was for the level of luxury of the concierge level. It didn't feel like excessive. I mean, it's expensive, but we're the same. We spend too much of our budget on travel, but it's what we all love. And the thing that I think going away. It gives you a break from work and the daily life. It's just what we've chosen, I guess, to put money towards. We love travel. We love planning trips. The kids love it. So I think we are more inclined to send budget in those directions. We would never normally do necessarily this kind of level, but but it felt like that's how much it's costing and we're going to do it.
Yeah. And for you as a person who just likes Disney travel in general, being able to go, it's relatively close to where you live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's relatively close, and those flights are not expensive. The direct flight, it just felt like to get to Florida, we've done it with the kids in 2023, but again, that was a post-COVID. Let's just travel. Let's just go around, go and do something far away. But it's not that easy. It's a 24-hour at least journey, usually more to get there. So, and with a 16-hour flight in there. So it's not something we can do very easily. So the idea of being able to do a Disney cruise close to home was pretty good. And we wanted to do the Australian one, just the dates never really lined up with leave, and I thought, oh, maybe the Wonder being an older ship, I should wait for the Singapore one. I'm not sure. I think everyone who went on the Wonder really, really loved it. So I don't know if I should have been worried about that. And I think perhaps the Adventure's the one that's not getting as good reviews. So, but like I say, all the Adventure was in good shape. Like everything is brand new and functioning and working. So
yeah. The day that this goes up, I will be on the Wonder. So I think you would probably find it to be the opposite of the ship that you went on, but just charming and delightful in its own way.
Yeah.
So speaking of other ships, do you have any thoughts on how you might want to use that future cruise credit?
Well, I would really I saw that on the website they have the kind of link to Hawaii, and I was like, well, that would be a fun place to have a cruise, to sail around those islands. But it doesn't look like there's anything running at the moment there, or anything scheduled for the next couple of years. I don't know what we would do, whether I turn 50 in a few years and maybe that's the time we could make a big trip. So we just thought, we've loved this. It's been so fun. The kids have loved it. Let's do the placeholder, and it gives us something to think about. But yeah, I'd love to do one of the Europe ones, especially the Europe on the Wish, those new ones. But I just don't know, again, for even non-concierge, the expense of getting there, getting on the boat, but only spending a day in each place would be, and again, probably excursions on that. I just don't think that's going to be feasible. But it would be amazing.
What about land and sea? So if you want to do a parks trip, you could tack on a cruise?
Yes. So that could be good. So our next parks trip we've already got booked is to Disneyland in June, July. Yeah. So we're doing a bit of Disney in 6 months.
Yes, just a bit.
Yeah. But I don't, again, that's kind of, we're going just to California to do some hiking and national parks, and we love the US, and yeah, it feels like that's going to be really fun. So that's my next trip.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited I have questions about your other Disney related trips for the after chat. But I appreciate you taking the time to share about this one. It's been very interesting, and I feel like I know a little bit more about this ship now.
Yeah. And like I say, I would encourage anyone to go on it. I do think there's some issues, but it was great. And it's really fun writing everything down and researching and things for this interview as well. I thought that actually added to my trip a lot, because it makes you really think about things and think about how you feel about it and pay attention to the different shows. Like I say, I went to everything as soon as I could see it, just to make sure that I got it. And I thought about what it was really fun way to reflect on the trip.
Nice. It's like journaling.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for sharing, Monique. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed my conversations. I'm certainly learning a lot about this new ship that I don't tend to research a ton when things first start, because I just think if I get to go on it someday, I'd like my thoughts to be pretty fresh. But I do feel like Monique was helpful, because there isn't a ton of information out there for people that do want it, and she offered some tips along the way. So hopefully that is helpful if any of you were considering it. We did keep talking on the after chat on Patreon because I wanted to ask about her other Disney trips because she's had so many, including multiple trips to Alani in Hawaii and an upcoming trip to Disneyland this summer. So that is available right now on Patreon in video and audio form. I think that'll wrap up this episode of WDW Prep to Go. For more information, please check the show notes in your podcast app or head to the website, wdwprepschool.com. Click on podcast at the top, scroll down to episode 510. Until next time, I'll see you on the site.